All right. I believe this means we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tech fans of all shapes and sorts and sizes and persuasions, welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Tech Chat Show on the SGGQA podcast channel. I'm Juan Carlos Bagnell, aka Some Gadget Guy, the SGG of this terribly named podcast series. But of course, the QA is the important part, which stands for question and answer. We like to kick off our week, get sort of have an interactive conversation about the top tech news stories. Maybe some news broke over the weekend, or we have a breaking news story this morning that I think we're all gonna think is terrible. And that's just sort of the way of things right now in politics and tech is just, whoa, man. Oh, it's rough out there. But this is a special one. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll maybe talk about this a little bit more at the end of the podcast. But this is official episode number 400. I've been doing a weekly podcast with a few weeks off. It's not like I have a perfect attendance streak, but this is 400 official episodes of the SGGQA podcast. So Gary the Fireman wishing me a happy 400. Already seeing a list of really fun names in this chat. We got Jimmy Fire Dragon. We got Barry Johnson, Ron Guido, JGJ. Simon says Hypno, Georgie. John Gao, Swiper 1911, Swiper No Swiping, Al Sabakli. We've got a fun crew to dig into. Let me get this out of the way here. I hope everybody out there had a safe weekend, especially here in the United States. We had a lot of protests and a lot of civil unrest, and I was recuperating from a procedure this weekend, so I wasn't able to get out and do normal activities and things. This was like a really complicated week. It was Father's Day weekend, and I was mostly in bed, just trying to rest up. My daughter had softball tournaments all weekend, and I was kind of heartbroken. I was watching. It is really cool. So like there are these apps and services that you can use for like kids sports, and one of them is called Game Changer, and I'm watching the game on my phone, and one of the parents had set up like a camera so I could actually, I mean, it wasn't great, it wasn't like amazing fidelity, or it wasn't like a sports broadcast, but I just think like how incredible this kind of technology has become, where live streaming a kid's softball game, and I'm getting like play by play. There's like this little graphic that shows you, oh, someone grounded out at first, and oh, someone pop flied, and it's, here's the pitch and the count, and like it's amazing. It really is incredible what we can do with this stuff, and it gave me that little bit of perspective being detached from the game, like not being able to be there, not being able to participate and see all the other families and all the other kids too. It was like it it helped replenish a little of that tech ennui that I've been having, where, man, like the news has been dire. Everyone's complaining about stuff being boring and getting too expensive. And then I like, here's a simple, practical, this is something that your tech does really well. And that's super cool. Like, that's really exciting. So I have to hit pause for just a second. So I need to send a shout out of glory to one Mr. Gary the Fireman, who's gifted tier 1 subs to Joe Bruiser, Professor Bollocks, RJO1440, My Tech Review, and Awkwardly Gamer. Gary, that is super generous of you, and I really appreciate the support. You just kicked Gary the Fireman by himself on Twitch has just kicked off a hype train. So Gary, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support, and it's what's helping to keep this channel running. And after last week, I stripped all my audio down again. So just as I was thinking like maybe I could get back into using the soundboard, I still have the Stream Deck that Barry Johnson sent me. I unfortunately still have to serenade you with one a cappella fanfare of glory. So thank you. And Gary the Fireman just subscribed with Prime. We're 77% of the way to tier 2, level 2 on a hype train. Hype train! Thank you, Gary. I really do appreciate it. Let me take a quick sip of coffee and we're going to get into it. It's going to be great. So yes, I hope everyone out there was safe. I hope Father's Day weekend went well for y'all. Talking to some friends, I have 2 friends that might be fathers soon, and it was kind of a meaningful, a different kind of meaning for this weekend for them. There's just a lot going on, and whether or not you participated in protests or you were watching the news, or man, maybe you just needed to keep your head down, and that's okay too. It's a lot happening all at once, all the time. And above all else, it's the same plea that I've been putting out there to like just keep a handle on your mental health. Keep track of what's going on. Try and keep this in some kind of balance. It's why we need you all out here doing the good work. Oh, J-Man 150, hope we're all doing well and staying hydrated. I mean, that's just good life advice in general. But J-Man 150 subscribed at tier 1, has been subscribed for 25 months. J-Man, did I miss our 2-year anniversary? I think I'm so sad we did. But J-Man just got us to Hype Train level 3. Again, with like no music or sound effects. I'm so sorry. I'm real good at doing the live streaming part of this for making a podcast. So I'm going to knock out a little bit of housekeeping. We've got some news, and this is kind of a funky gadget block. I actually am purposely backing off some of the heavy news for my own sanity, for my own mental health. There's so much that just seems like it's terrible, and I'm taking one small step back to just find my footing, find my equilibrium. I do have a couple of Trump stories that we just have to cover because they are tech, they are gadgets, they are things that I hope we will be aware of so that hopefully we can warn our family and friends about maybe something that's not going to be great. And one more, JJ4884 subscribed with Prime. One more. Y'all, I think this is like the best hype train I've had all year. Gary, J-Man, JJ, I really can't thank you enough. It means a lot, and we're gonna keep plugging along. We're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna do this show, and it's gonna be great. So, housekeeping was a little minimal because, like I said, I had a procedure, and kind of slowed me down a little bit. Oh, Barry Johnson, I am here for the Trump stories as well. There's one of these Trump stories that I think we're all gonna think is just kind of hilarious. I mean, I can't think of any other way to describe it. But, sorry, housekeeping. It's 9:08 in the AM, and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about my own stuff, because some of my own stuff is going to be stuff that we're going to talk about later in the podcast. So let me screen share this here real quick. I've been turning smartphones into dumb phones for years. Make your phone dumb for free. I had to put out a video on this. So someone rightly called me out on this. A couple weeks back, there was this like big explosion of news stories. Oh man, Gen Alpha, Gen Z, they're not using smartphones anymore. They're going back to dumb phones. And I put out a video just saying, hey, maybe don't go out and buy an expensive minimalist phone. And someone in the comments was like, well, you said I could turn my smartphone into a dumb phone, but then you didn't say anything about how. And I'm like, you know what? I was about to like kind of argue with this person, like, I don't know, Google it. And like, hey, you know what? Maybe get over myself. And so I put out a modern version of this. This is a topic, the first video I ever put out on streamlining and minimalizing a phone was over 12 years ago. Over 12 years ago, even then, we were talking about crackberries, we were talking about smartphone addiction, unplugging from your mobile devices, how to make them less visually stimulating, and I did a super simple home screen layout with just text for apps and services and shortcuts to calling, and like I showed everybody how I did it. The modern version of this idea, 12 years later, is so much easier to do. So I put together, it's about an 8-minute video, but it's 8 minutes where about 2 minutes is really what to do. And then, because I can't shut up, 6 minutes is the explaining why. Is me rambling why on everything that we're supposed, why I feel the steps I've laid out should be done the way I've done them. So you can catch that video. That video is public. Again, it's, I tried to find a gimmicky title. You know, like you go through your Google News feed and it's, I've been reviewing phones for years and here's my favorite popsicle. And you're like, this appeal to authority is so silly, but it seems to work. Like this video isn't getting huge traffic, but considering how badly YouTube has been treating channels like mine, I saw like a pretty decent nudge just on that title. I think it's just on that title. I do have to do one more shout out. Control Alt Clay subscribed with Prime for 24 months. This is our 2-year anniversary. Happy 2-year anniversary. I don't know what a 2-year anniversary gift should be, but we have a hype chest. So I'm going to open the hype chest, and it's the personal best emote. I'm going to share that here on the Twitch. Choo choo. Oh, it's like a little puppy getting like a little medal. You know, like how Chewbacca never got his due. Jonathan Gow then jumping in, subscribed with Prime, subscribed for 15 months. John, Control Alt Clay, JJ, Gary the Fireman, J-Man, thank you so much. This is kind of rocking my socks. Y'all are blowing me away right now. I really do appreciate it. So, back into some housekeeping right quick. The big video, and this one actually did score a little traffic. Apparently, some people do still seem to care about this stuff. Android's desktop mode is finally good. And this is something we'll chat about later in the podcast, second half in the gadget block. I've spent a weekend with 2 different flavors of Android 16. The public version, oh, let me just hold them up. The public version of Android 16 I'm running on my Pixel 9 Pro, and then the QPR1 Beta 2 I'm running on my Pixel 8 Pro. And I have some thoughts on what's going on between these 2 ideas of Android, and also why I feel like Google might be jumping the gun a bit. I feel like there's this artificial acceleration. You know what? Let me just save it. We'll get into it proper. I promise. I'm owing time to the end of this podcast. This won't be where I say, oh, we'll have a gadget block, and then the last 5 minutes are, I like playing with phones. No, we'll really talk about this stuff because I don't have a lot of news. Like I said, I purposely trimmed the news. Simon Says Hypno saying that's our cotton anniversary, 2 years. I can't remember the old like 1980s jingle for cotton. What was it? The fabric of our lives. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's quite it. But it's cotton. I like cotton. I'm much more sort of a cotton hoodie guy than I am like fleece or some other type of synthetic fiber. Cotton is my jam. Let me screen share this. And then I just put this out there. So this is one of the things that I like to do on the Patreon. When I say things like the patrons help guide, you know, they're not just like shareholders or people just contributing to the channel. We get into these conversations on the Patreon and on the private Discord, and I get to kind of work out some ideas behind the scenes, and people contribute, and then it really does kind of put me on my heels, like, is this a good idea, or am I just being pissy or snarky or cynical? And so one of the things that I put out over the weekend was this editorial, should I just mute the word Samsung from my YouTube comments? And it got, that idea was born out of yet another wave of thirsty Samsung nights. So the 2 videos that I talked about in housekeeping, I put out a video on making your phone a dumb phone, and I put out a video on the improved desktop mode for Android 16 QPR1 Beta 2. Immediately on both of those videos, I got a lot of thirsty engagement bait, pay attention to me, I'm a Samsung Knight comments. like, oh, I've had DeX for years, or oh, but Samsung has an easy mode. And there's no contribution to that discussion, right? So my video on making your smartphone a dumb phone has nothing to do with an easy mode. I'm not looking at how to make it easier to use your phone and do more with your phone. I'm actively looking at how to reduce functionality on your phone instead of spending money on a phone that can't do things. So there's no contribution to that discussion. So I just started writing. I like word vomited it out, like my feelings on, I don't think we credit companies when they bring new features to the table, but I don't think Samsung deserves credit for easy mode. Or if you really were passionate about desktop modes, then you'd have been following this like lots of us. The people in this chat have been following desktop modes since like the OG Moto Atrix days, right? We've cared about this feature before Samsung made this feature. We can give Samsung credit that they haven't killed it. I think we're all appreciative that Samsung hasn't killed DeX, but that's about the most like credit that I think they deserve in the history of this idea. There's Microsoft Continuum, there's Huawei's desktop mode. There's a lot of other stuff that kind of comes up, right? So I got to thinking, like, in these two videos, I'm not bringing up Samsung, but I'm also not trying to trash Samsung. I'm really just trying to talk about, like, here is an idea, and this idea could be applied to any device. We want Android 16's desktop mode to be good, so any device can plug into a monitor or TV and have expanded functionality. Obviously, the gold standard of that is Moto's desktop screen share ready for whatever they're calling it now. And DeX is a very, very close second. I would say DeX is better if you're into good lock, but if you're not into tweaking a mode like that, then Moto Ready 4 is better out of the box, right? So we want competition on this idea, and we have a couple crown jewel players, Moto, Honor, and Samsung. And then we have a couple B-tier players that are very specific, like gaming phones. Like the Red Magic has a cool thing that can kind of expand gameplay. You plug your phone into a TV and it's better for gaming. We've got ideas and permutations on this. We want every single phone to be able to do this. And we want every single phone to be able to do this at every price point. An entry-level phone today is plenty powerful for someone to run basic web services, basic computing needs. It's silly that a $200 phone can't plug into a TV or a monitor. We want everybody to have this. So it's not trashing Samsung. It's just saying, hey, there's a whole world outside of this. So I'm thinking, like, and I got some comments and I got some replies, and we've been having some conversation about it. The next time I put out like a broad tutorial where I'm not focusing on Samsung, maybe I should just mute the word Samsung on my YouTube comments for like a week. Just turn that word off and just see how many comments get caught in that YouTube moderation net. Just see. Like, it could just be a fun, pissy, kind of cynical and sarcastic way to deal with it, but just like, they're not contributing to the conversation. They're sucking air. They're trying to get attention for themselves. Like, why play that game? And it's something that's just broadly kind of happening on social media right now. I couldn't help myself. I had to reply to someone who was calling out someone else on Threads. And you're like, you're not calling them out. We need to teach people how to fight on social media. If someone says something that's obvious rage bait and you call them out, or you quote post their post and you tell them that they're wrong, all you've done is give them engagement and give them traffic and give them more attention. You're advertising for them. But if you were to like screen grab their stupid comment, then no traffic would go back to them. So sure, call them out, but don't call them out in a way that enriches them, because that's how those people get paid. You want engagement on Threads. Why? Oh, that's right. Facebook gives you money if you get tons of traffic and engagement. So someone doing something stupid like, her, Android cameras are terrible. And then someone else going, nuh-uh, my Android camera is bestest than your iPhone camera. Well, yeah, they didn't care. They picked that fight because they knew a whole bunch of Android slobs would go running in and arguing with them and telling them how it really is. And look at these photos that I posted. And they got hundreds of replies, thousands of impressions and engagement. And Facebook is like, yeah, you know what I need to do is promote more arguing. So that more arguing shows up in your algorithmically sorted feed, and Facebook knows, hey, if I post another iPhone person talking trash about Android cameras, then this Android nerd's gonna go and comment, and they'll stay on threads longer, and they'll be miserable. They'll be angry and arguing with people, but that's good. That's good for our time on site. And that's how they get you every single time. So, I have to respond to this just from Ron Guido. We were talking about desktop modes. Ron Guido asks, but what has Samsung really done to improve it? So here's one of the things that I need to point out. And this is going to be acid in my mouth because I do need to give Samsung a little credit. Man, that hurt. So Samsung comes out with DeX the same year that Huawei comes out with their desktop mode. I don't remember if Huawei had a cute packaged name for their desktop mode. And over the years, there's been very minor iteration on improvements. In fact, there was a major downgrade to DeX where there was an earlier incarnation of DeX that was going to be much more Linux based. And I think Google, working with Samsung, kind of put the kibosh on that. When Moto Ready 4 started getting good, and Moto was really aggressive on updating Ready 4, the very first generation Moto Ready 4 was kind of terrible. Like, it was worse than LG Screen Plus. It was kind of a very basic, yes, a screen pops up and you can do things on it, but it was super bare bones. And in under a year, Ready 4 went from being kind of miserable to really good. And then Ready 4 got really good on things like screen awareness. So the first desktop mode that could figure out your monitor was Ready 4. You plug your phone into an ultra wide, you had an ultra wide. You plug your phone into a 4K display, it put out real 4K. If you had DeX and you plugged into a 4K display, it would still only put out 1080p. Or I think after an update it went up to like 1440, but it wasn't native 4K. And you had to go digging through junk, like in GoodLock, to enable these other features, which is stupid. Why put a roadblock to there? There's just a little context menu in Ready 4. You right click, you hit display settings, just like on a Windows PC, and you can control all that stuff directly in Ready 4. So Samsung has iterated. In fact, because of the competition from Motorola, DeX has gotten better over these last couple generations. Now I think they're kind of back to parity again. There are things that I still prefer, and there are features like the laser pointer mode on Moto Ready 4. So let's say you plug your phone into a TV and you don't want to use your phone screen as a touchpad. You can literally use your phone as a virtual laser pointer remote. Stuff like that, Moto did it first, and they've done it really, really well. And I just like that they categorize. So you plug your phone in and you get these options. Do you want to watch media? Do you want to play games? Or do you need to do work? Or also take a video call. It immediately shortcuts you into these predefined uses. And I think Moto, again, I think Moto offers the better UI, the better experience. But the other thing that we got to credit Samsung for is Samsung, I believe, has helped Google with the underpinning of this new desktop mode for Android 16. So when we saw new DeX and it was kind of tablety, I think Samsung did the legwork on a tablety, easier DeX version. And that's some of the inspiration that we see in Google's desktop mode, and which will eventually become Chrome OS. We know Chrome OS is now underpinned by Android because Google might have to sell off Chrome. And so when we talk about future Google-based hardware products like laptops, the core underneath it all is gonna be Android. And I think the UI, the layout, the organization, the window painting, how you snap windows, I actually think a lot of that comes from Samsung. So I do want to give Samsung some credit. Ugh. But it's also coming at a time where I'm hoping we'll just run Linux soon. If I can just open up a terminal and go sudo apt-get gimp and then run that, I don't need much in my desktop mode. I'll just run Linux. Let me just like Windows subsystem for Linux. Let me just install Ubuntu and call it a day. Please. The phone chip, the chip in my phone is more powerful than the last generation of ARM-based laptops. Our phone chips are now roughly like what? 12th gen Core i5s. Like, why pretend? Just let me run Ubuntu. And we'll just call it a day. JJ is already in my chat. Run Linux soon. Soon it will not need Android anymore. The age of Linux is dawning. The age of Linux is upon us. We've been saying it for a while, but like my Steam Deck, pretty nice. My Geekom mini PC running Steam OS. This is really cool. This is legit like something someone could put behind a TV and have a very good gaming experience. It's pretty wild. Fernando, hey, leave my billion-dollar corporation alone. Well, I mean, if we're talking Samsung, then yeah, billion-dollar corporation. If we're talking Google and Apple, then trillion-dollar corporation. Gotta pump those numbers up. Samsung numbers are rookie numbers. Okay, so unfortunately, that was an extended housekeeping. I didn't want to spend that much time. Everything that we're going to be talking about this week, all of the links, all of the stuff that I've produced, all of the articles, all of the show notes will be available later today on my blog, on this week's blog post for the podcast on somegadgetguy.com. And of course, there will be audio versions of the podcast out later this afternoon. Video replay. YouTube takes forever to let me do a trim down, so unfortunately you have to deal with like the intro music for the first 5 minutes of the video until I can cut that. Twitch lets me edit immediately after the podcast is done, but now Twitch won't let me save archives for as long. So it's great. Everything's great. I'm loving it. It's real nice. But we are going to jump into some news, and I do have to start us off with a somewhat serious. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's hurting my heart and it is damaging my mental health. And it's also, I want you to give traffic to Ars Technica. We're talking about those websites that are still doing the good work, that are still putting humans out there to do incredible investigative reporting and journalism, and they need your traffic. So it's insufficient for me to just like, here's everything that's in the article and like read the whole thing to you. I really want you to go to arstechnica.com, okay? But this is a story that we've been following since the first Trump administration. This is actually one of those stories that while I was at Pocket Now, I did a couple news pieces for Cheddar. You know, Cheddar, that weird online like news and stocks and investing for millennials, when millennials were already too old, right? So if you go to a gas station, you might see Cheddar News like on the pump. I don't know where to seek out Cheddar beyond that, but I was on there a couple of times. So one of the things that we've been really concerned about is how do we invest money in our broadband infrastructure? And during the first Trump administration, we really cut the rules down on how we estimate the number of households who have access to broadband. So that's very difficult to count now because all we do is we turn to the ISPs and we say, well, who has access? Even if they're not paying for it, that's one thing. But who just could have it but doesn't? And what they do is they do this very generalized estimation. So let's take a traditional city block, and if literally one building on that block can plug into some kind of broadband, then the ISP will count the entire block. All of those households, all of those apartments, everything. So we don't have good estimates. And we spent 3 years of the Biden administration with the FCC in gridlock, so we couldn't get ahead of some of these rules. And we're sitting on a $42 billion fund to invest, to give to money to give to the states to invest in broadband distribution. And what's frustrating is exactly what's happening on this article here. So written up by my man crush, John Brodkin, 2 years of work in 2 months, states cope with Trump broadband overhaul. The Trump administration has upended plans that state governments made to distribute $42 billion in federal broadband funding, forcing state officials to scrap much of the preparation work they did over the previous years. Secretary of Commerce, this is from the opening paragraph. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick essentially put the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program on hold earlier this year, and last week announced plans of a rules overhaul that requires states to change how they distribute money to internet service providers. To find out how this affects states, we spoke with Andrew Butcher, president of the Maine Connectivity Authority, the MCA. Quote, "We have been in position to be making awards this month, but for the Trump administration's deliberations and program changes, so it's pretty unfortunate. This is the construction season. We planned it so that projects would be able to get ready with their pre-construction activities and their construction activities beginning in the summer, so they would have all summer and through the fall and early winter to get in motion." So what eventually, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop there, because again, I started doing the thing where I said, hey, I'm not gonna read the whole article, and then I just wanted to read the whole article to you. But this is a huge rug pull. This is, if you've been paying attention to things like fiber to home, it has been infuriating because every state has their own collection of bureaucracies. And some states have laws where you can't have competition like municipal funded broadband. And certain players aren't allowed in the region. I remember what got me into politics was McCain co-signed Broadband Choice Act, which basically eliminated choice. It was hilarious. It was the first time that I really clicked on the doublespeak that a lot of our bills face in Congress, where this is to help the people by eliminating their ability to choose different competitors. Who even wants to hassle with choice? We should just give everything to one player in the space and let them be a de facto monopoly. And it was like, I was infuriated. So I started writing like my congressmen and my senators and just like, oh, and I started like sending them links and data and, oh, we're falling behind the rest of the world. And we have. We've totally fallen behind a lot of the other industrialized areas in the world. But this is also frustrating because it seems like a pretty obvious scam. So this money was set aside to roll out broadband, high-speed broadband. It just got an upgrade. You have to now offer like 100 megabit down, 20 megabit up. This is like not fast at all, but to call your broadband high speed. And it took us years to build the rules around this fund. But of course, this administration doesn't care about precedent and rule building, so they just pulled the rug out from everybody months before this was supposed to go into effect. So all of those contracts, all of those deals, all of the zoning, all of the permits, everything has just been thrown away because the Trump administration wants to write in rules that what was supposed to be a broadband, cable, and fiber initiative, well, you have to let satellite compete. How come satellite can't have a shot at this too? Which is a different series of grants and funding. This was money that was supposed to go towards the most efficient and most effective way to roll out broadband, and satellite really ain't it. The costs of constantly launching satellites into low Earth orbit and dealing with the incredible amount of noise and waste that they create is different than digging a trench and rolling a cable line or a fiber line, or just accessing a telephone pole and running a cable over to a new house. So all of this is getting thrown away so that Starlink can have a fair shot at a fund that was supposed to be about infrastructure and improving connectivity in areas that desperately deserved it. We're going to go back to the start. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning, and states are going to lose millions of dollars, especially in like contracts and penalties, and we're still not going to have anything to show for it. But to get that 42 billion, they're going to come with all these strings attached. Remember, we talked about Ted Cruz putting a whole bunch of stuff on the last broadband funding distribution bill. Here it is. And they're even not happy still. So even the states that might capitulate and say, hey, we won't regulate AI for 10 years just so we can get some money to flesh out our broadband infrastructure, still not good enough. You gotta let satellite also debate for the money. It's so terrible. It is real proper stupid. From Jules, whatever. So the Dem commissioners have left and a Republican is getting termed out. It's pretty much just Carr, and that's not a decorum. Well, we talked about it last. Right now, I do believe the FCC is still in gridlock, one Democrat, one Republican. I don't know if that last Democrat has officially left, but I'm pretty sure we'll see that last Democrat phased out in some way, shape, or form soon. Simon says, Hypno, can taxpayers just pay for infrastructure costs as we maintain a monopoly? It's not corporate welfare queening, honestly. But it is. I mean, Simon Says Hypno is obviously writing that as a joke. But that's exactly what this is it's regulatory capture, and all of your tax dollars are going to making rich people richer. And you don't get better services out of it. You don't get anything out of this. It's really just to entrench terrible business practices, monopolistic, anti-competitive, anti-consumer business practices, and we don't have regulatory agencies that can offer even moderate pushback or even token, fake pushback. It's now just, nope, it's the way it's gotta be. Gotta let satellite try and get that money too. Gary the Fireman, could you run your show on 100 down, 20 up? Well, because I live in an area where we were desperately looking at resources to improve the connectivity here, we're in this little quiet, tucked away part of the suburb off a hillside, which is a little difficult to get to. But literally across the main major street from us, there are options for fiber. We don't get them here. So one of the reasons why this show suffers so many issues and I can't do things like co-broadcast on my own, I have to use a service like Restream, is because I'm stuck on Spectrum, and Spectrum only offers 20 megabit up in my area. When I do 4K videos, they take hours to upload. I just have to push them up that internet pipe and go to bed. I'm running this PC all night just so I can get a video up to YouTube. It is horrible. It's real bad. And so we're looking at other solutions. I might start talking to our HOA about maybe we could make our own internet service. The people here have terrible choices. You have DSL, you have, you've got fixed wireless. Like if you want one of those little Verizon or T-Mobile boxes, you can get that, but your speeds are slower and less consistent. And especially when cell towers are saturated here, which is real easy out in the suburbs because we don't have a ton of towers. It's real easy to watch your data just plummet sort of mid-afternoon when everyone's coming home from work and the 101 is packed and everything's just awful. So we're trying to see if there's some way that we could maybe do our own association broadband. And it could be something that contributes to a fund that helps the HOA. So everybody who jumps in on it becomes kind of a co-owner or an investor. That money could go into HOA projects, like we're talking about replacing roofs on our condos. Like, it could be kind of cool. The management on that would be really dicey, and we've already seen that a lot of the members of our HOA are elderly children and petty and stupid. But if we can get around some of those obstacles, that might be the only way we can get someone to come up here and string some kind of fiber. Because the second we start talking about it, the second we start asking about zoning for it, well, then suddenly Spectrum, oh, well, we offer gigabit. No, you don't. Not up here, you don't. I'm buying your fastest product. But if every condo here just decided to switch over to HOA broadband, maybe they'd come up and start fixing some stuff and we'd have competition. So it's pretty silly. I do have a couple. Oh, Mike McClure, shout out for the mention of Huawei. The pre-giver ban era made competition thrive. I mean, I still point regularly. I've got my Mate 10 Pro over there, just one of the most beautiful phones. Just a crown jewel in my collection. That desktop mode is still flippin' phenomenal. It's just such a shame. Huawei definitely needed regulatory action and a market correction. They were doing some shady stuff, but they weren't doing in the consumer space what I feel got them put on this entities and ban list. And it's still been frustrating to this day. Jules, didn't Dish just file for Chapter 11? WTF? Well, it's not Dish or HughesNet or I can't remember what the other slower satellite provider is. This is still like the remnants of Elon Musk being in the government. This is all just a sweetheart deal for Starlink. If Starlink can get money from state from state funds, that's Elon Musk's whole business model right now. Is you fail until you find a way to keep taxpayer money flowing directly into your company. And Starlink needs more taxpayer funds. So SpaceX actually needs more taxpayer funds. So you make Starlink the solution, and you hope that you just get people hooked on it and using it at a level where they just can't easily separate it. So you just have to keep dumping taxpayer funds. Again, Elon Musk is kind of one of the biggest welfare queens of all time. That's really been the business model outside of Tesla finding success in markets with consumers. Everything else has just been, how do we get a government contract? All these people who are like, oh, you know, I'm a savvy libertarian businessman, and it's about the free market, and everybody's got to have no regulations, and oh, by the way, government, can you just pour money into my company? I don't want to pay taxes. That's for poor people. Poor people pay taxes. Me, I just want to take those taxes from those people and just be rich. So if you could just do that, that'd be great. Oh, Michael Peppertech. Satellites have to be taken down every 5 to 10 years and new ones constantly launched versus running some cables and pretty much once fiber is in the ground, it's good to go for decades. So 5 to 10 years is what HughesNet needs to do. And I believe HughesNet operates 4 satellites in medium orbit. I forget what that's called, but it's not LEO. Starlink has constellations of satellites that are constantly falling out of the sky. We will not have low Earth orbit internet-enabled satellites last 5 years. They burn up too fast because they're so low. So yes, that does help improve some speeds, but we still can't even match cable. For all his promises that like, oh, we're going to have gigabit and it's going to be, you know, the fastest and it's going to be so great and you'll have connection everywhere in the world. No, all of that was a lie, just like full self-driving. Yeah? Every time Elon Musk promises something like that, just think, is it like full self-driving? Yeah. He's talking about it like FSD. He really doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not some crazy genius. He's he's a narcissist and he thinks we'll all just sort of believe him. I don't know what the life cycle is, but that was something I was covering on reviews.org. I was doing part of their broadband beat, and I was talking about Starlink, and it was shocking. Like, they just recently sent up satellites, and like half of them just fell out of the sky. Well, we got to send up another batch, and we're gonna add to this constellation, and oh well, we actually need to do replacements now. Like, it's not a serious business model. It really isn't. It could be something that is useful, and from like a government perspective, yes, we can do this as like a medium-term solution. Like, it's something like, we only expect this cluster to be in operation for up to a year. And if we get more than that, great. But otherwise, we know it's disposable. So we're going to put this money into this so that we can solve this one problem, and then hopefully we can help that region with something more permanent later. But the notion that we're just going to keep firing satellites up into space is ludicrously stupid. Oh, Georgie, I'm so jealous. Wow, I'm using 100 megabit up just because of my NOS, and I still think it's the bottleneck of my connection. I can't imagine 20. Let me tell you, 20 is real bad. It really sucks. Oh, Barry, thank you. Hey, no, you guys deserve competition. This is ridiculous. And Michael Peppertech, yeah, I think we're kind of in a similar boat. Spectrum has a lock on internet at our apartment. Republicans voted against the bill that was supposed to make it illegal for ISPs to give kickbacks to be the sole provider and be anti-competitive. I tried to tell people that that mattered. When we had an FCC under Rosenworcel, that was the kind of stuff that we were going to start getting. We were going to start getting, like, it was going to be easy to cancel services. It was going to be harder to be monopolistic with apartments, and people voted against it. The American people said, no, I don't want better internet and good services and easily cancelable contracts. And no, both sides are the same. I'm not bitter. I got to get off of this story. Second all. USA, USA, USA. Let me take a drink of coffee here real quick. Oh, Ken X, I'm sorry to hear it. I'm stuck in a similar situation with our internet. The building is stuck with 40 megabits, can't even upgrade, and I'm also in a dead spot with cell service. I'm sure you've been looking at alternatives years ago. It was kind of in the middle era of LTE access. Excuse me. There were these companies that were making really good cell signal boosters. So it would cut your overall bandwidth. It was kind of like a Wi-Fi repeater. You know, the earlier Wi-Fi repeaters, not mesh Wi-Fi, but like literally you'd have your Wi-Fi, your main Wi-Fi hub, your main router, and it would send a signal to a second repeater. And that crossover would cut your bandwidth in half. But if you needed some kind of access, half of your bandwidth was better than none, right? So there were these cell repeaters, but I think the last one that I used was 3G only. I want to say it was like a 3G repeater. And I wonder if there isn't something like that still available. Like if you can put out a larger antenna grid, maybe something that looks like a TV antenna, you like stick it in a window. If you could vaguely point it towards a tower, even if you're in a dead zone, maybe there's some clear line of sight or some clear air that you can find. It's frustrating because in the era of 5G, I'm not sure a lot of those products are viable anymore. I think 5G kind of locks up what we can do with that kind of wireless technology. So, moving right along, we've got to cover a pair of stories on AI slop. I know you all were saying, like, you know what's really frustrating about the internet is that there are too many humans sharing interesting content that humans have actually made. And what I really want is way more disposable, cotton candy, junk food, probably inaccurate, probably misrepresenting or outright lying hallucination content from a computer that has no understanding Because Apple just proved it, right? Apple can't make any money on AI, so they're trying to salt the earth. We talked about that last week before WWDC. They're salting the earth on, well, AI doesn't really reason. It's not really intelligent because Apple Intelligence isn't selling any more iPhones for us, so no one should get to enjoy AI. We're Apple. My feelings on this are very complicated. Back-to-back stories. I'm just going to go into screen share here, and then we can talk about both when I get through them. The first one starts out really innocuous. This is literally from TikTok's press release. Meet TikTok Symphony, our new creative AI suite. You go through their press release and it's like, oh, you can supercharge content ideation with Symphony Assistant, which is a fancy way to say, hey, Symphony TikTok AI, just tell me what to make that will be popular on TikTok, and it'll come up with ideas for you. You can find out what's trending, gather inspiration with a research companion. You can ask Symphony the question, show me top performing TikTok ads in the blank industry. You can brainstorm ideas. Like, all of this is just kind of the normal patter that every AI company is trying to come out with. Our AI is useful and it will help you cut back on work. And then it immediately goes into generate TikTok first content with Symphony Creative Studio. So now your TikTok studio will make video content for you. And then you don't even need to be in it, because the next phase of this is Symphony digital avatars. So it's starting off with stock avatars. Listen to how ghastly this sounds. Pre-built avatars featuring licensed actors from diverse backgrounds speaking over 30 languages. So TikTok got a bunch of people to license their likeness, probably in perpetuity, and now you can just put an AI avatar built on a real live human who did license their likeness. I'm sure they're going to be very well compensated for being a TikTok shill for the rest of their lives. So you don't even need to be in your own videos. You can go to TikTok and say, what's a great TikTok idea? And then you can have it do all the editing for you. And before you do all the editing, you can have it host and do all of the talking to camera for you. And then the TikTok Symphony AI will put all that together. If you are, like, say you want to approach TikTok more from like a brand perspective, now instead of hiring human TikTokers, if you're a brand, you can generate your own custom avatar. So let's say someone in your company, like say your social media manager is this, cute as a button little college student girl. You can pay her to license her likeness as the company. You can just work out this deal in your company, and then that avatar can just be your brand's face. And TikTok will facilitate all of that. You can translate, dub the video into different languages. There is a more traditional video editor if you want to cut it up yourself, but why do that when Symphony will do it for you? And then this ties all together because you can optimize your ads with Symphony features in your TikTok ads manager. And it immediately descends from, hey, TikTok is this fun place where real people go and create engaging little snippets of content, to the only reason we exist is to sell slop and market and advertise. And the only reason you're on TikTok is to be the fodder, is to be the fuel that we burn in this machine so that everybody else can generate revenue. It's like 4 paragraphs from, hey, isn't this cool and fun and interesting and exciting, to we're destroying humans in this market, and now you don't have to deal with influencers, and you can make your own AI influencer, and all of it's here in-house at TikTok. So we get cuts both ways. So if you want to use all of these features, well, that's revenue for us. And then it's advertising, so then we get a cut of all the money and the revenue. And it's completely entrenched. So if you're a TikTok influencer, your days are numbered. Your ability to cut a really good deal. I mean, it's going to be reserved for the people that can go mega viral on like every single video they post. But increasingly, they're just going to face direct competition from AI slop. And at the start, a lot of people are going to push back against it, and then they're just going to get won over. The apathy of this will just kind of continue to fade through, and yeah, it's looking pretty dire. The flip side of that is what I do every Monday morning is is also getting ground under the boot heel of Google, not TikTok, but Google. This is written up by Ryan Whitman over at Ars Technica. Google can now generate a fake AI podcast of your search results. So here's part of the process. Is like every morning, literally every morning I wake up, I check news feeds. I'll try and drop links in the private Discord just for things that I think will be fun topics on the podcast. Every Monday morning, I wake up a little earlier. I try to put together some run of show that kind of makes sense. And then we talk for a couple hours. And we try to hang out, we try to have a good time. I noticed like this chat went totally silent when I was talking about TikTok AI. I think a lot of folks in my chat are TikTokers who are now probably thinking, man, what do I do if TikTok is just completely overtaken by AI bots? Where do I go as a relevant human being with thoughts and opinions and trying to make good content that engages with humans when I'm gonna have to compete for eyeballs on a system that's just generating an incredible amount of noise, and TikTok's own services are probably going to be prioritized over human-generated content because TikTok wants to make that AI money, right? So the game is already rigged against you. I saw my viewership dip when I was really getting into the middle of that, and I'm sure it's people like, oh no, I've got to go see what Juan was talking about. I'm about to get my butt kicked. So don't worry, I'm also about to get my butt kicked because let's say we took all of the topics that I have for my run of show. So I've got like 6 articles up here. And if you took those 6 articles and you dumped them into Google Notebook LM, and it just made an AI generated podcast out of what I'm talking about. What if that was just your podcast? I bet you that could do a better job of condensing all of those stories than I can, right? That's what we're going to have to compete against. I only have so many hours in a day that I can remain upright and functional and conscious, whereas Google can just run servers 24/7, 365, creating content out of other people's work. This is yet another example of AI search basically just being theft. So let's say you really were curious about like this Broadband Funding Act. Well, why go to Ars Technica when Google can make a podcast out of John Brodkin's work and then just dump that on you? And you don't even know if it's accurate. You don't know if it's misrepresenting parts of John Brodkin's work, and it's pulling information from numerous sites and numerous web services and numerous news feeds, and that's you're just gonna kind of trust it, I guess, because it does say Google, and Google used to mean sort of verifiable and good search results. And hey, that's cool. I just got like this 5-minute podcast instead of having to read. Oh, who even wants to read anymore? Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I can just have like a cute AI voice. Hey, that's real interesting. And here's another thing. And Trump will do this. What do you think about that? I don't know, click that bell icon, and like, it's all just such rote patter. But the sites that did the journalism, the sites that did the investigating, the humans that actually wrote out all of that content and linked it and sourced it and verified it, they get nothing. They get bupkis. Google is stealing from every site on the web to do these AI services. We're looking at how amazing their video content creation tools are now, their AI video generators. How does an AI system know how to do a rack zoom? I mean, a rack focus or a dolly zoom? You can only know how to do that if you've ripped that off from numerous movies. You haven't learned, because an AI isn't sentient and it's not aware and it's not conscious. So you've basically just stolen filmmaking technique from numerous filmmakers. You've stolen aesthetic from numerous filmmakers, and you're repackaging it for people that have a very sort of casual interest in making their own stuff. They didn't want to learn how to do those things. They just want the final output. Isn't that neat? This is compounding with writing and authorship and journalism, and we're just still waiting to see how bad it's going to get. Ted Cruz is in our government saying right now, if you want money to improve your broadband infrastructure, you're not allowed to regulate AI for 10 years. Look at how bad these tools are for publishers and journalists today, and imagine 10 years of non-interference with this market. Where are we gonna be in 10 years with AI slop? I mean, sure, right now it can't get the basics right. It's hallucinating, it's not great content, and it is just theft, but what happens when humans give up? Look at how many websites have fallen apart. Look at how many YouTube channels have gone dark. What do we do? I guess we'll just let all the tech bros and the tech billionaires, well, I'm sure they'll sort it out for us. I'm sure they'll have our best interests in mind. It's the merit. It's the market. The market will solve all of our problems. So let's just give everything to those rich people. You know, Mark Zuckerberg takes 2 mega yachts out to places that don't want to dock mega yachts, but he'll still go to those places and go hiking and skiing because he has his private helicopter. So, it's not enough for Mark Zuckerberg to go somewhere with 1 yacht. He has to bring both. What if he wants his Tuesday yacht and he only has his Thursday yacht? Oh, poor people. There's no other way to, I can't think of any other way to phrase this. This is just outright theft. You make a website, you want traffic. I got a really snarky comment 2 weeks ago. Someone was like, hey, I thought you were some gadget guy, not some needs to be seen and paid attention to guy. And I just muted them. They'll never leave another public comment on my YouTube channel. It's like, why do you think we do this? I do this because I want to engage in a weekly conversation. Yeah, I want to be seen, but more than anything else, I want to interact. Like, I've got comments here. This is what I want. I want us to have the conversation. I can't have the conversation if YouTube is chilling engagement on my YouTube channel and instead is taking all of our content and putting it up on just the main search results page. Because then no one goes to the website. No one watches the video. The AI will just summarize it for us and probably get some of what we said wrong. So it matters. Because eventually, folks give up. Or your website gets sold to some like content farm, just packing your site full of affiliate links. And the few humans who do work there are just run under like horrible conditions. And then they burn out. And it used to be a prestigious, magazine or website or banner or YouTube channel. And now it's just another area for more slop and affiliate links and marketing and marketing and marketing and marketing. So let me take a drink of coffee. We do have actually a couple. I mean, I was being facetious. This wasn't like no one was commenting while I was talking about TikTok. Georgie seemed to take it very, very personally. Gary the Fireman is saying TikTok equals spyware. Actually, all of them are now too. I purposely did not include a link to the story that if you have any Facebook or Meta app installed on your phone, then Meta has technically not illegally, but technically breaking the terms of service of Google, has been looking at everything on your phone. Everything that you do. So yeah, it's nifty that you can get into arguments with iPhone owners on Threads. Facebook has been circumventing all of the platform there to dig through everything that you do online. So it's not just TikTok. All social media right now is basically a scam and spyware. Both Georgie and Simon are saying we're not TikTokers, so it's just not something that they wanted to comment on. Local black man, at what point does AI watch AI TikToks for me and give me a rundown? Well, you see, that's a paid service. So you could pay TikTok to watch TikToks for you and then give AI summaries on the TikToks that you might find interesting, which it won't. It'll only just find more and more ads for you to consume, which is good because you paid for that service. I mean, again, it's like that terrible, I didn't really like it. It was that episode of Black Mirror where everyone's in their little cubicles and you had to pay credits to not watch ads. And like if your eyes looked away from the screen, it would pause the ad until you looked back. It's like that old copy pasta, drink a verification can. Oh no, I'm only down to 2 more cans of Mountain Dew. So Georgie's going to try it. I'm going to try this AI podcast to see if it's working, and then we'll vote to be trashed. This AI podcast will eliminate the traffic the media needs. I'll be curious to see. This is another one of those things that I think Google is rigging the commentary on. Because think about like Google I/O. Oh, we've had 1 billion users for AI search. No, you hadn't. You had 1 billion users for search, and you shoved AI in their faces. They did not seek out AI search. I'm still seeing articles on the regular, like how to get around AI search. Do you want just web search results? Affix this to your search. Or if you bookmark this, you can go here and then the search will be finished this way. The people who care are trying to work around it, and most everybody else just doesn't care. So that's what happened when they went to thegoogle.com. It's all a lie. It's the same thing with, I think Microsoft is trying to pull with Microsoft 365. They changed everybody's subscription to an AI subscription, a Copilot subscription, free for the first year, and then they're going to use that next year. Well, look, we had millions of people subscribe to Copilot, and no, you didn't. You did not. You hid how to unsubscribe from Copilot, and you gave everybody a Copilot subscription. That should be illegal. You should not be able to mess with my subscription without making it very clear that that is opt-in. It's all a lie. It's all a scam. They're trying to make it look like they're generating revenue on AI, and they are not. From Cravat Noir, AI theft. Why didn't I think of that? I mean, I can't say I came up with that idea. I'm just trying to echo. But yeah, it's you watching everybody's website traffic plummet. Like even my own modest traffic on somegadgetguy.com. I looked at my stats. I took a 50% hit from 2022 to 2024. And for articles that used to be kind of evergreen, that traffic is gone. So like some of my older like tutorials and tips and tricks and some of the editorials that would still just keep generating traffic, it all just vanished. And so I get little spikes when I publish and then it like immediately disappears. So yeah, it's just theft. What little content I can actually create is also just being added to the fodder of summarizations in AI. Oh, Ken that's actually a pretty good recommendation. If anyone wants to know about the progress of the current AI scene, I follow AI Search on YouTube. He's really on top of everything new related to AI. I've noticed a trend of AI channels on YouTube with all the liberal politics news popping up on my feeds lately. And again, that's kind of algorithmically sorted too, Ken. If you want to go down the rabbit hole on other political ideologies, YouTube is happy as long as you just spend more time on YouTube. Create a dummy account and just see how long it takes you to get to like awful conspiracy theories, terrible political ideology, and like outright like abuse in videos. And it doesn't take long. If you let the YouTube algorithm do its thing, whatever keeps you on the site longer will just continue to be fed to you. in like the worst kind of slop trough kind of way. From Bradley, there's Meta AI on WhatsApp now, and now they're looking into flooding it with ads. Of course they are. Same thing. Like I was pointing out to people, like, oh, Threads, it's so fun and hip and new, and I'm so glad I left Twitter. Like it's Facebook. It's Facebook Mini or Facebook Lite. What makes you think that this is going to be good? And it's already terrible. And now they're looking at packing it with more ads and more distractions, just like Instagram. Like this was so obvious. I hate because I just feel like a tech Cassandra all the time. And for all the folks here, I'm preaching to the choir and I'm telling you stuff that I've been whining about for a while, but you guys are like hardcore techies. You guys, like anyone who's watching content I make, you are not average consumer. Don't even pretend that I buy $1,000 phones so I can just do the basics on them. That's BS. It doesn't reflect anything in the market. I am telling you, the only place to get away from algorithmically sorted content, terrible advertising and marketing policy, having your feed packed full of ads, algorithms that generate conflict so you'll stay on the platform longer, is Mastodon. If you do not have just an account, you don't need to go crazy, you don't need to spend all your time on Mastodon, but if you want to see where the real techies are and you want to see conversations that aren't manipulated by algorithms, the only place to go, it's not Blue Sky, it's not Threads, it's definitely not that dumpster fire site that Elon bought, it's Mastodon. So get over this fear. Oh, well, it's kind of techie and I have to sign up for an instance. It's like signing up for an email account. Your email account can email every other email account. It doesn't matter where you sign up to Mastodon. Follow some tech folks on Mastodon and you will get Linux and FOSS and real Android news and all of the cool tech that we supposedly got into when we said tech was a hobby. I don't know how to tell you this anymore, but every second you spend on Threads is only a second to deteriorate your mental health. The only thing Facebook cares about is that you are angry and miserable, so you will spend more time on Threads. At some point, it will flip on you. If you're having great experiences now, awesome. Enjoy them, be happy, I guess. But know that it's Facebook. It will not last. It will not stay that way. And it is getting primed to hurt you bad. The only way to get away from it is to go old school social media. And there are so many better perks. The user interfaces are kind of sloppy, but you can have long form content on Mastodon. You have unlimited edits on Mastodon. You can now plug into other services like PixelFed and have richer photo sharing experiences. A couple instances are now working better with like looped video footage. You have everything that you have on every other social media platform. You just have to take a minute to set it up yourself. And there's no one in this chat right now who couldn't do that. So just go get yourself a Mastodon account, follow a couple hashtags of topics that you're interested in, and you'll notice that at some point you're just done. That you're good. I scrolled through Mastodon, I've gotten the news that I want to get, I've seen a few people, I've left a few comments, had a few interactions, and now I can turn it off and do other stuff in my day. And that's what social media should be. You should reach an endpoint in a day where it's like, yeah, and now I can walk away from it. It shouldn't be sticky. It shouldn't be something you spend all day on or have in a browser tab open all day. You should get to an end. Sorry, I got preachy again on that one. I'm just gonna take a drink of coffee. Jimmy Fire Dragon is saying I should take a drink of water here, so let me do that. Oh, I didn't know this. Michael C. saying there's no way to sign up for an Office 365 subscription without Copilot anymore. I need to look into that. There could be some like weird old legacy vibe, but increasingly, for those kinds of situations, like I've been really pleased with the most recent updates to LibreOffice. A couple folks last week were telling me about OnlyOffice. I'm going to start checking that out too. And I don't know, it's kind of like Adobe, right? Excuse me. I can point out to people I haven't spent any money on my content creation software in years. Oh, that's not true. I did a couple years back. I did update to Affinity 2, but Affinity from Affinity 2.0 to 2.6, I've not spent another dime on. I started on DaVinci Resolve, like Resolve 16, and now we're on Resolve 20. I started on DaVinci Resolve at 15 for free and then paid for it with Resolve 16. So I gotten over 5 years of DaVinci Resolve, and I paid for it once. So it was $250 up front, and I've not spent another nickel. My photo editing and compositing, like I'm super basic on stuff like that, and I can mostly get away with using Affinity and GIMP, right? So Microsoft is kind of in that same boat, where when I say, you don't need to pay for all this content creation software, someone will trudge out, but I have clients that demand I use Adobe. And we're like, well, yeah, that sucks for you. Push back against it, show them that there are other alternatives, but you don't want to, so you're just gonna roll over and not at least tell your client, well, there's a way that we could also do this and it would cost us all a lot less. But you can't because they need it to be Adobe. Fine. But don't come to my video talking about alternatives to Adobe and then act like I need to tell you that it's okay. What do you want from that interaction? I put out a video saying use DaVinci Resolve and Affinity and all of these other services, and you're complaining that you need to use Adobe. That sucks for you. I don't know what else to tell you. Be the change you want to see in the world. I can't do it for you. Can't like pat you on the head and tuck you in at night. Like, what do you want to have happen here? But Microsoft 365, I think, is similar. There are obviously numerous areas and industries where if you don't have Microsoft compatible documents, you're screwed. And we're probably going to keep paying for our classic plan without Copilot, because I also do like having some cloud storage. I don't use it much, but I like having it. And it's the cheapest way to get a big bucket of cloud storage, have a couple different accounts. It's obviously not the same perks that it used to be. They've killed Skype, so I don't even know what was going on with Skype credits. That's just stupid. But yeah, so that's a bummer. I know I'm stuck in that. I know I'm probably going to have to pay for Microsoft 365 for at least another year, and my wife relies on it for work. At some point, we might switch her over and see if her job can just subsidize it. And then she can have the Microsoft 365 account, and we'll be fine without it. At this point, I could very easily just roll over to LibreOffice. There's nothing personally holding me to Microsoft Office anymore. It would be very little change in my normal workflow and daily behavior to get rid of it. I could find another email client. I'm not impressed with Outlook right now. Outlook is kind of terrible and I hate it. I could leave Outlook to manage just the sort of front face of all of my business emails. That's not hard. So it's that really complex conversation. I get that there are some sticking points, but those are the people who are going to complain the loudest, and they're probably the least affected. If more people knew that there were free alternatives to like Photoshop and Office and Adobe, it's like I'm blowing people's minds when I show them these alternatives. It's like there's no awareness that there are other ways to do things, that there are other ways to get this stuff done. A lot of people don't take me up on it, but I have broken through. Like, which is interesting. Like, one of my daughter's best friends has an older brother who is in this like tech class where every summer they take these students in mid school and in high school, and they're responsible for fixing all of the laptops in the district, and they pay them. The kids have a summer job. It's a really cool gig. But they're flipping, their laptops have gone from Chromebook to Ubuntu. So all these kids are figuring out how to do their schoolwork on Ubuntu. And the older kids are starting to figure out, oh, this isn't like a Chromebook. This is like a full open computing platform that they gave me admin privileges on that I can do anything I want with. Pseudo. You start showing like 13-year-olds pseudo. It's hilarious. So many of them don't know that there's even a separate app drawer. I was looking at how my daughter's friends at like 8 and 9 are using these computers, and it's like if it's not immediately in front of them in the Chrome browser that's pre-installed, it just doesn't exist. And then my daughter will go down to this dock and touch a button, and she opens LibreOffice, and she has a list of stories that she's been writing in LibreOffice because she figured out that her teachers can see everything in Google Docs. That's up in the cloud, and it's immediately shared with her teachers. They have access to all of that on the Google side, but her teachers don't know how to find the documents in LibreOffice because those are stored locally on the laptop. So she can write private things, and she can like write messages and show them to her friends and stuff. It's like, it's wild. It's hilarious. They had Shotcut. They didn't call it GIMP, but they had GIMP pre-installed. Audacity. She was showing someone like, hey, look, I can set my laptop in between us and we can record a conversation. And then they see the waveform drawing out in Audacity. That's amazing. So there's some hope. There's some hope for the future. It's just, I think we need to get over people our age and older. I should say my age and older. A lot of people in this chat are my age and older, but not everybody is as old as I am. It's getting people over that entrenched momentum and the apathy of momentum. Whereas, oh, it's the thing I've always done. I guess I just need to do it again. I'm upset about it, but what else am I going to do? Anything else? You could do anything else. You could, sure, you could do, I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas. Yep, Gary the Fireman, Microsoft 365 also increased to $3 a month. And they're going to use that as evidence that AI is generating revenue, and it's a lie. AI is not generating that revenue. Microsoft changing your plan in something that should be illegal to do, that's what's generating revenue. John Gow. There's also the daily listen feature that summarizes your Google Discovery feed into a, quote, short podcast. Parenthetical, it is terrible, by the way. I would imagine that that's probably not a good service. JJ4884, the decentralized web. It was a lampooned idea in, what was it? Not Silicon Valley. And I really wish that we had kind of maybe created something akin to that. Like, I was rewatching the BlackBerry movie, and it's a really charming look at an era. And obviously, it's kind of played for yucks, and isn't it so funny? And, oh, Blackberries used to be a thing. But there were some really clever ideas. There's that one scene where they're trying to figure out how to get more devices on Verizon's network, and they're reprogramming Verizon towers. And one of the things they do is they turn every BlackBerry into sort of a decentralized server client so that it's a mesh network of content that can bounce around devices and towers and spread out the load of communication. And that way more devices can be on any one cell tower at a given time. And it was a step towards what would have been a distributed network. And it's just a shame that we didn't really stick the landing on that idea. Instead, we got the iPhone, which just sucked down tremendous amounts of data to do really basic things. It was super inefficient and almost tanked AT&T's network multiple times over. And then we just brute forced a normal internet relationship between cell towers and mobile devices. It's sad. We could have had something a lot more clever and a lot more efficient. From Lelwani, I genuinely do not know if I'm sticking with Microsoft Office on personal PCs once my master's program ends. I have iWork on the Mac and Google Docs on anything with a browser, and they perform great. And Lelwani also says, also shout out Affinity. They are amazing. I love Affinity software. It is so good. So I would also definitely check out LibreOffice or OnlyOffice. I think it's nice to have a robust document suite of software that lives on your computer, and then you can use other cloud services to kind of store and back up files. I don't know that I'd turn to Google Docs. I don't know that that would be my hook. Wikazol is saying, how old is that? And you're like, well, if you can see like the gray that has been permeating my chin scruff here, it's pretty old. Ken X is saying, unfortunately, not much competition to Excel besides what Google has. I think LibreOffice, it's definitely a step behind. I'm not going to lie and say like it's parity. But for a lot of the stuff that I do, like I run a little spreadsheet that's a formula for camera sensor size. I've got my archives from all of my gadget performance testing. That's just data entry and some basic, really, really basic computation. So like when I do my photo editing test, I run it in two parts, and so that I don't have to do it manually, there's just like a little just a little percentage calculation that's done for the percentage of throttling. And so I do that in a row of cells like that. That works fine. That's easily transferable to LibreOffice. But yeah, I mean, if you're talking about like big corporate workbooks and like practical databasing that's being done in Excel, which you shouldn't use Excel for databasing, but people do, then that's trickier. But I'd still take LibreOffice over Google's spreadsheet solution. Aw, JJ4884, I only turned 30 in September. You're a baby. Oh. All right. So, that was our AI summary. That was supposed to be short. It was not short. This podcast is going to go long. Dang it. I really thought I was going to be good on news. I am excited to see this. This is coming by way of Jackson Chen over at Engadget. A native PS3 emulator for Android is available on the Play Store. I am super stoked for this because there are just a couple of games that kind of got locked into the PS3 that I really miss. One of my all-time favorite twin stick shooters is a little zombie shooter game. There was a PSP version? I can't remember. But the best version of it was on the PS3. And so I've been just desperate to find any alternative. It kind of plays on my Steam Deck, but it doesn't play great. And funnily enough, now phone chips have gotten so powerful that if we can clean up, this is super raw, by the way, but it's called APS3E, and you can find it on the Google Play Store. But just like other PS3 emulators, it's not super stable. It's not great fidelity. It's lots of artifacts, lots of what do you call that in emulation when stuff doesn't render properly? But we're getting there. And we're getting there with just a brute force approach to phone performance. I think give it another year or two, and I could maybe finally play my favorite PS3 games again without having to trot out. I have the PS3s like in a storage unit somewhere. This could be a really big deal. Because the PS3 was really hard to develop for, and it's proven to be really difficult to emulate. So I'm thinking about trying to do like a tablet gaming challenge. Like maybe get a couple friends together and just say, hey, like if you had a tablet, an Android or an iPad, what would you do? What would be the best gaming setup that you could come up with? And I think people underestimate now. Like I've got the OnePlus Pad 2 in front of me. The OnePlus Pad 3 is in my bedroom right now. Boy, howdy, are these things stupid powerful. And we're doing so little with this hardware. We could be doing so much more. And people are like praising, oh, the Nintendo Switch. It's like having a PS4 or maybe an Xbox Series S in a handheld. And you're like, yeah, that is cool. But if we delivered these experiences native for MediaTek Dimensity 9400s and Snapdragon 8 Gen Elites, I think we're already more powerful than the Switch 2. If those developers just brought their games directly to Android and optimized them for Android, it'd already be beating the Switch 2. Wall. And for average users, yeah, I think average users should buy average products. So it's pretty great. Georgie saying, geez, I feel old now. Well, you're probably not as old as I am because you're only as old as you feel. So, quick little update. We are getting some news. I'm going to leave this link in the show notes so that you can read over it. But we are moving forward. Pebble is still saying they're going to meet their July deadline for the Core 2 Duo smartwatch. Really excited to play with some of these new Pebble watches coming out soon. And there are project updates. If you're inclined to, they are running a beta test. So you can try out the new companion app, which they say is like, it's really rough. This is a beta, and they're just looking at compatibility and how they can get these services running. Right now, it sounds like the Pebble team today is just trying to make sure that they have the feature completeness from the old Pebbles. Like, we're not quite to the level that we were at when Pebble died before. But this is maybe one of the hardware announcements I'm most excited for this year, is just an adorable, cute little plastic digital paper screened watch. And if anything might take my OnePlus watch or my Atlas, my TicWatch Atlas off my wrist, it's something that is old school and kind of retro and cute and charming in a very Swatch watch kind of way. So I'm very curious to see if they meet all these deadlines. I imagine that we'll get to July and the first batches of this hardware will ship, but we'll still probably be a little behind on features. So we'll have to see how that plays out, but we're getting updates. So they are paying attention to what's going on there. From Darcy. Of course they can charge $100 for a Switch 2 game. Nobody's paying even $10 for an Android app. I'm telling you, man, y'all are missing out. I tried playing Balatro on my Steam Deck, and it ain't it. Balatro plays so much better on like a fluid touchscreen experience. I know people are like, showing like, oh, they're playing it on consoles and stuff. Terrible. It's the worst way to play Balatro. It sucks. And it doesn't take much to add a controller to a phone now to replicate all of that. But I mean, look at all of the incredible games, like the cheapest way to get Grid, Android. Cheapest way to get Dead Cells, Android. I mean, it's just wild to me that like all of these games are starting to come to Android, and people are like, oh, Android gaming, it sucks. Because my cousin plays fruit swapping game, and it's awful. JJ, Steam Deck has a touchscreen. You might as well not use it. It is terrible and laggy and not very fluid. It's awful. Oh, Pup on Tech is coming in late. Sorry I'm late. Happy 400. Oh, thanks, Pup. Thanks for dropping by, man. You're not really late because we're running crazy long here. So Barry brought up the other Trump news that I was going to bring up. And like I said, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I just need you to know that this is a thing so that you can tell your family and friends, do not give this company money. It is imperative that this service fail. It's real bad. So Barry Johnson is asking Michael, are you going to switch to the $47.45 monthly Trump cell phone service? That's $47.45. Get it? So this is a real thing that's happening. It's our next story, written up by Kevin Bruninger. I don't think that's how you pronounce his last name, but written up over at CNBC. Trump organization announces mobile plan and $499 smartphone. The new service, Trump Mobile, will offer a $47.45 per month plan that includes unlimited talk, text, and data, as well as roadside assistance and a, quote, telehealth and pharmacy benefit, according to its website. I don't know about you, but I don't want my phone attached to any kind of government idea of like telehealth and pharmacies. I really want that data as private as it can be. But it gets even worse because this isn't like a government plan. This isn't officially sanctioned by any government agency. It's not a part of like any broadband act or broadband service. I got to get into this. I'm going to scroll by the phone for just a second. Quote, Trump Mobile, its products and services are not designed, developed, manufactured, distributed, or sold by the Trump Organization or any of their respective affiliates or principals. I want to repeat that. Trump Mobile, its products and services are not designed, developed, manufactured, distributed, or sold by the Trump Organization or any of their respective affiliates or principals. So, not only is this more expensive than many other MVNOs, we don't really know who's behind the inner workings of this. So all the data that goes through this phone and this plan, and especially with your telehealth, I think this is going to end up being one of the least secure ways that you can do smartphoning in the United States. We only have very minimal data on what the phone is going to be. It's going to be called the T1. It's going to run Android 15 with a 6.8-inch AMOLED and a 16 megapixel selfie camera, 12 gigabytes of RAM, 250 gigs of internal storage, and a 50 megapixel main camera. And I have to believe that this is just going to be Chinese manufactured garbage. But they have a render, and it's going to look real pretty because it's going to come in a gold. It's going to have kind of a gold look to it, and it's going to have T1 embossed on the back with an American flag. And I think this is the most hilarious part of it, is the render shows this square camera assembly with 3 little circles. Remember my rants like during the Galaxy Edge reveal, is that Samsung made their most expensive phone look like a mid-tier iPhone? Anyone who cares about smartphones as fashion looks for 3 circles on the back of an iPhone to see that it's a gooder phone. And 2 circles is an okay phone, and 1 circle is a poor person phone. So they have 3 circles in this render, and I guarantee you that it's gonna be garbage. Even in this render, it doesn't even have things like a camera flash. It's just 3 sad little circles set up to look like an iPhone. And I hate that this is gonna work on people. I mean, you want to be really cynical and be like, well, if someone gets scammed by this, I guess, that's on them. But there are people out there who are going to take it that, oh, well, the president is doing something about cell phone plans, and this is going to be a good, inexpensive cell phone plan, and they're even going to sell a good phone. An iPhone will cost $1,000, but this Trump phone is going to cost half that because he cares about the American people. I just re-upped on Mint. We pay for the year. What is our final bill was, so Marie has metered data because she doesn't use a lot of data, so we just cut it, because any month that she goes over, it's way cheaper for the whole year for her to occasionally go over her data allotment. I think we paid $380 for 2 phone lines for an entire year of service. I know a few families that's pretty close to their monthly phone bill, but we only have 2 lines, $380. I think Lex's plan is another $100 a year for her smartwatch. So yeah, we'll say under $500 after taxes and fees and service charges and everything. I think I'm doing pretty good. $47 a month for 1 phone line on Trump's plan, the 47 plan, works out to over $500 a year for 1 phone line. If you did Visible from Verizon or Mint Mobile, or what was the other one? I liked US Mobile. I think it was US Mobile. I think I still have one of their SIM cards back here. I can't remember. Dang it. Someone will have to correct me. I haven't used them in a while, but I think I liked US Mobile. Any of them. could get you a better deal. Like any of them. Like unlimited cell phone service should not be. Again, if you're shopping budget and you're not wanting all of the perks of like T-Mobile Tuesdays and Verizon getting you subsidized Netflix and Disney Plus and stuff like that, you just want the core smartphone service. I don't know. I don't think you should be spending more than like $30 a month. I think Visible can get you down to like 25 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think this is yet another scam. It's got the Trump name on it. Trump has licensed it to someone else, and they're going to go run off with this, try and make as much money on this as they can. And who even knows if it'll be in operation 3 years from now. John Glass is saying, I don't get the joke for the 47-45. What numbers are the Trump presidencies? So Trump was the what numbered president, and then there was Biden, and then there was Trump again. So that's how they came up with the dollar amount for the Trump plan. Thank you. Barry Johnson is saying $25 a month for Visible, or sign up now for $20 a month. I feel like that is a much better deal. From Ron Guido, that's about what I'm paying for 3 lines on a Fi deal. And Google Fi, see, the thing I like about Google Fi is it's not the cheapest MVNO, but Fi, I believe, is the only MVNO that tiers your connection at the same level as the most expensive T-Mobile plans. So if you pay for an expensive T-Mobile plan or you pay for Google Fi, you're the last consumers to get throttled on T-Mobile's network. Mint is a tier below that. So when a network faces a lot of congestion and the cell towers are really getting hammered, my Mint connection will get throttled before Google Fi will. So there are reasons you might want to pay more. I think Google Fi offers a better deal for that tier. I stuck with Mint because it hasn't proven to be a significant issue. In our neighborhood, I can see when a lot of traffic is happening, like right after school, our little cell towers are getting maxed out by all the people driving in and out. Things slow down a little for me, but it's not like I've been totally crushed. It's not like my connection's been cut off because other people need to be prioritized. So I just stuck with it. Like, it really wasn't worth fighting. We literally, it was yesterday, our bill rolled over and we paid for Mint for the year, and I don't have to worry about a phone bill showing up in our monthly finances for another year. So, I mean, it's really just been a convenience thing for us. From John Gow, I wonder if the Trump phones are impacted by the tariffs. That's hilarious. JJ4884, T-Mobile Essentials is $70 for 3 lines on a new plan. Also, I feel doing a fair bit better than $47 a month. Ooh, Rob Albano. I added the multi-line add-on for $90 to get access to AT&T and T-Mobile at the same time, and it works great on my Vivo X200 Pro. I love hearing that. That Vivo X200 Pro, surprisingly good. I know I'm not getting full 5G band coverage in every area, and there are some times where, like, I know my OnePlus would be getting faster download speeds, but it has been so much more accessible. It's seamless compared to other import phones I've used in the past to try and get some 5G connectivity. Yeah, Lil Wani is saying that US Mobile is a good one. $25, and they let you choose which towers you connect to. Good deal. Mike McClure. John, definitely tariffs getting passed to the consumer. This garbage phone that they're going to sell, they're selling for $500, and they don't even have a complete render of it. I have to believe it's going to be garbage. It's going to be like when TK and I did that cheap phone challenge. We tried to get each other like the cheapest phone we could. TK went used, I went brand new. And when he was peeling the IMEI sticker off the back of the phone, he ripped the whole back plate off of the phone that I got him. I have to believe it's going to be that kind of build quality. So we are properly into the gadget block with that Trump story. I don't think any of us are under any illusions that a Trump-branded cell phone service not operated by the Trump organization or any political entity in charge of telecommunications is going to be a good deal. We have to make sure that we point this out to people and say, you will get ripped off if you use this service. Look at all of these alternatives. I'm sure half of you or most of you in this chat, through your service, you could offer someone a code. I have a Mint Mobile code. You could sign up and get like a couple months of reduced cost coverage to give Mint a try. The code is on somegadgetguy.com. I'm sure other people in this chat, talk to your family and friends. Hey, are you looking to cut a little cash on your cell phone bill? Try this. Whatever you do, don't get the T1 plan. A pair of stories, and I'm just going to screenshot them here real quick. Both of these coming from Android Authority. Warning, Google will soon nerf the Pixel 6a's battery due to an overheating issue, and Pixel 7a battery swelling. Google now offers free replacements and cold hard cash. So I want to bring both of these up. Please read the articles. There's a lot happening here. We just recently went through the Pixel 4a fiasco, where Google pushed software that decimated performance on the 4a, drastically reduced charging capacity, charging speeds, overall system performance. And now we're seeing issues with the 6a, and we're seeing issues with the 7a. Somewhere in there, the Pixel 5a seemed to skip most of these problems. So kudos there. The 5a, I think, was one of the best phones Google has ever made. And it was disappointing going from the 5a to the 6a, losing that battery performance and losing that headphone jack. The 5a is still an absolute monster mid-ranger option today. Just a brilliant phone. I'm a little anxious. My brother has a Pixel 6a. My dad has a Pixel 8a. And I'm wondering if anyone in this chat here now with 3 distinct and separate generations of Pixel phones, Pixel A series phones, having battery issues, and these sound like pretty serious battery issues, does this start to throw a little water on recommendations for the Pixel A series? I don't know. That if my brother has to like update his phone and then the system performance tanks, he's going to want to get a new phone. I don't know that I'll be able to talk him into another A series phone. I guess he has to spend more and get a Pixel 9 or a Pixel 10 instead. Does it erode some of the confidence? I have been so excited for Android 16, the improved desktop mode, and the Pixel 8a being the first mid-ranger here in the United States to offer things like video out through the USB-C port. But can I recommend someone use a Pixel 8a harder if it might be next in line for battery issues? Because there is no way to just pass-through charge it or not charge it. Pass-through power it, I should say. Android is long overdue that just being a standard feature. Plug in your phone, but don't charge the battery. I'm going to use it harder, and I don't want the extra wear and tear on the battery. Do I tell someone, hey, your Pixel 8a can now be used like a desktop computer, but oh, it's going to nuke your battery? So I guess we've got to move them up the food chain. If you don't want a battery that's going to set your pocket on fire in 2 years, I guess you just got to spend more. Don't be poor. I'm really anxious about this one. Back in like the Pixel 4 and Pixel 5 days, I got a lot of my family on Pixel phones. I think my brother-in-law might be using a Pixel 7a. I think my sister just upgraded to a Pixel 8. My brother's wife, She's on a Pixel 6 Pro. But what's hilarious is out of all of my family members, my mom has been the contrarian on a OnePlus. And she only just recently flipped her OnePlus 6T to a OnePlus 11. And guess who hasn't been having any battery issues? The lady on the fast charging OnePlus. Remember all those people who would like crawl out of the woodwork like, well, but if you charge the battery faster, it's going to reduce its longevity. The battery's going to age and then it won't be able. My mom had a OnePlus 6T that she would charge for 30 minutes every 3 days. And the OnePlus 6T was still doing fine. The only reason she flipped to a OnePlus 11 is because she was starting to have issues with certain apps. Like, she was just kind of behind on Android, and you get to a point where it's like, yeah, I know we made it like 3 or 4, no, we made it 3 OS updates on the OnePlus 6T. You know, it's just time. Banking apps and like her car app and like some other stuff, like, it's just getting kind of weird. Let me flip it. The OnePlus 6T still works great. Still charges fine. It was starting to degrade. It wasn't offering her the same longevity, but she could still get like 2 days out of it at the very end of its life when she then flipped to the OnePlus 11. And I just think that's hilarious. All these phones that slow charge, I think their batteries will run out faster because you're constantly putting charge discharge cycles on that battery. You're constantly topping off when you might not need to. You're constantly looking for like a little wireless, bump, 10 watts here, 15 watts there. Because if you let your phone get down to like a low battery warning, it's going to take an hour to charge that phone up. So you never let it get that low. You're constantly plugging it in and unplugging it. You're constantly topping it off when you probably don't need to, but you don't want to get stuck. And I can't get it through more people's heads. You pick up a OnePlus 13R, and it has a huge battery inside of it, and it charges that battery from completely empty, the phone won't boot, to completely full in like 30 minutes. But you don't even need that. You can leave the house with like 30% because the battery is bigger. That probably lasts you a whole day. If you can spend 5 minutes just topping it off in the middle of your day on a OnePlus fast charger, you'll get enough runtime to last it a second day. So I bet you it's this combination of the Pixel A series are cheap phones. They're produced cheaply. They're assembled and manufactured cheaply. They have cheap components in them, and they have cheap charging. So that's a recipe for putting extra wear and tear on the battery, extra battery degradation, and fewer safeguards to making sure that the phones will properly handle degraded components after 2 or 3 years. That's my hypothesis. And now we're already seeing issues with the Pixel 7a. It's not that long. A Pixel 5a could still be in operation today. That was a glowing example of how to make a really nice, inexpensive phone. I think the Pixel 6a, unfortunately, is proving to just be cheap. It looks like the 7a isn't much different. So let me get to the comments here. Does this chill the recommendation for an A-series Pixel? I'm very curious to hear what people might have to say on that. I'm going to get a drink of coffee while I scroll back up. Oh, Daniel. So Daniel was commenting about the Trump phone and commented, for $499, I'd rather get a Pixel 9a, no contract. And I just asked if this would chill your desire to get an A-series Pixel. Daniel, I was not picking on you. That was the run of show. That was what I was going to talk about. Sorry. So Michael C is saying the 4A had a battery appeasement program, so did the 7A. The 5A did have you're right, the 5A did have some screen issues. You are right there. Like my dad's 5A died because it took a minor drop in a case and then the screen went totally unresponsive. So you are correct. There were some issues with the 5A. I just feel like Screen touch issues are less concerning than battery meltdown issues in my brain. Michael C is saying, I would avoid the Pixel 8a series like the plague. They now have a special battery program, which is portrayed like a feature, but really just lets them update your phone to hurt performance. What's the other big Android 16 feature? Like if you're on the public build of Android 16, you're not getting any of the new fun stuff. You're not getting the desktop mode, you're not getting Material 3, but you do have an 80% charging mode now. That's good. Put a little less wear and tear on your battery. Not charge pass-through. I'm sure that requires hardware. To do it right, to do it really well, where the battery is actually circumvented and the phone is being run just on the charge brick, I'm sure it's not as simple as just a software patch to do that correctly. But you know, if you wanted to head off some of these issues, and your phone charges really slow, then maybe give us power pass-through instead of just a system update that tanks performance and a charge limit at 80%. Oh, Bradley, time for the A series to go. I was thinking about this because we talked about this a while back. I want to say it was before the 6A came out. I think we could be getting to that time. Look at how we're already getting rumors on Pixel 10, and Pixel 10 is going to have poorer cameras than Pixel 9. Why not just do the Apple strategy? We have Pixel 10, Pixel 10 Pro. You could do Pixel 10 and 10 Plus. You could do Pixel 10 Pro and Pixel 10 Pro XL, and then Pixel 10 Fold. But then next year, don't come out with an A series. Just reduce the price on Pixel 10 and leave Pixel 10 as the inexpensive option. And then in 2026, we'll release the Pixel 11s, but keep the basic Pixel 10 as the cheaper phone. I wish we could just do that. I mean, I don't see, like, I know people say like, oh, we want iPhone SEs and we want purpose-built like mid-rangers and entry-level phones, and sure. But the Pixel A series is not cheap anymore. It's a proper mid-priced mid-ranger phone. It's in the middle of the mid-ranger envelope. It's not the bargain that it used to be. So make the better phone and then sell it longer. Make more money off of the investment in tooling up and making the case and offering accessories for it. Know that there's going to be like a longer life cycle for that number phone, and the Pro series can cycle more aggressively on updates and stuff, and you're already going to charge more. The Pros are already $1,000 plus devices. So let's stop pretending that the A series is necessary in a market where it overlaps tremendously with the numbered series now. It's a little bit nicer to go to a Pixel 9a to a Pixel 9. Little bit. Not worth it. I don't think it's worth it at all. Barry saying, I won't recommend an A series. He did not put a period at the end of his statement, but it reads like there's a period at the end of that, that statement. Brian Glaze, pass-through should just come standard. Yes, I agree. Brian also immediately said, don't be poor is wild, LOL. It feels like that a lot. Like, it's like, well, I mean, I guess if you just don't want your house to catch on fire because your cell phone battery died, I guess you just got to buy a more expensive phone. I wish it were another way. Just apparently it can't be. Michael C. is saying it's probably only a matter of time before one of the non-A series phones has one of these battery appeasement issues. I'll be curious to see, because like the phone I would have expected to start getting some of that chatter on is the Pixel 6 Pro. And that really hasn't happened. So I have to wonder, knowing that it was already going to be a slightly more expensive device, was it constructed better? And is that why we're not seeing these battery issues? Is it that the A series is being built to such a low degree and such a cheap process that that's why we're seeing them? But will we see that on a Pixel 6? Was a Pixel 6 built better than a Pixel 6a? And we just need to wait and see. Oh, JJ, I'm tempted to go to the Nothing phone to upgrade from my Moto G Stylus 2023, starting to get battery anxious. Nothing phone is cool. JJ, I mean, like, I wouldn't discount shop that Nothing and then also shop a OnePlus 13R. That phone is such a monster. Do I still have it? I think I still have it behind me here. Oh, there are so many phones directly behind me. Oh no. Top tier, crazy high performance, super fast battery charging. The cameras are actually like useful and functional. There isn't the gimmicky, dumb camera, like the dumb macro shooter. Like all three of these are useful camera sensors now. IR blaster, little notification rocker. This thing is the best flagship killer in the United States now. So shop Nothing. I'm not trying to talk people. If you just want glyphs on the back of your phone, sure. But 13R is such a champ. It is such a monster device. The only thing it's missing is video out through that USB-C, which is killing me. It's just hurting my heart so bad. Lelwani, that techie feeling when you remember exactly what phone every relative and friend has. So that I feel seen. Also, how dare you? But the reason why I'm getting anxious about it is because I started the trend on getting my family to start using cheap Pixels. With the 3A and 4A, I was showing them like, hey, this is a really inexpensive phone. It's not going to last forever, but the cameras are pretty good and the reception's pretty good and the performance is pretty good. Like, it's pretty good. You're not doing crazy things on your phone. Maybe shop a Pixel A series. But that's different when shopping a Pixel A series means maybe this phone sets your house on fire. I'm less cool with that recommendation now. Oh, Brian, I try so hard to tell people how amazing the OnePlus 10T charging is. There's nothing like it. It fundamentally changes your relationship with your phone. And my mom loved talking that bit up. Because even on her OnePlus 6T, that only had, was that 45 watt dash charging? And even that was still faster than all of her friends with iPhones, right? Oh, look, I'm just going to plug my phone in for 20 minutes. And oh, look, my phone's back up to 80%. And that'll last me 2 more days. And she had friends doing nothing on their phones with iPhones that couldn't last the day. And now to the 13R is so much better. It's so good. Michael Peppertech, Google execs, quote, I told you we wanted sales to blow up, not the actual phones. Ha ha, zing, waka waka. I see, like, I just rewatched King of Comedy with Robert De Niro as a stand-up comedian who's always like doing this with his hands. And I totally see Michael Peppertech giving us that kind of big hand delivery on that joke. I love it. Mike McClure, Pixel A fan edition. Only through the fire can you forge a legend. Parenthetical Samsung. Oh, Barry Johnson. That would be too simple, Juan. Why not complicate it? Oh, man. See, but I really want just that overlap. Just hold the older Pixel and sell it for less. And run that line more so that your investment in each generation of phone chip can last a little bit longer. You can make an extended sales window on that. It's long tail economics, and I know it's not sexy. It's not a quarterly, we did this and sold so many more. But look at all these articles that are coming out now. Look at all the articles like, oh, there's another crazy Pixel 9 sale. But is that good? Doesn't that show that the market really doesn't have as much faith in Pixel as the marketing would lead us to believe? If a phone was really hot and it wasn't just Google spending over $1 billion on marketing every year and trying to AstroTurf Team Pixel stuff, wouldn't the phone just sell at its price? Yeah, there are deals on iPhones and trade-ins and stuff, but like, you never hear about these crazy swings in iPhone pricing. Because there's a confidence in that market that there's a value to that, and it's not deserved anymore, but it was earned. It was earned through years of the iPhone being kind of a stable fixed point in Apple's repertoire. And Google, like, well, we released this phone at $1,100. Oh, wait, you don't want to buy it for $1,100? Next month it'll be $700. Doesn't make it seem like it's a valuable product that is stable and people can rely on. Makes it look like it should be cheap. Lil Wani, it's okay. My house can catch on fire because I have an Anker battery bank instead. Now, that was another crazy recall. I've got to like go through all my gear now. I was really terrified because I've got 2 Anker crate batteries, like those home battery backups, and I was like, oh no, please don't be those, because if those go up, man, my entire condo block is doomed. From Schlungy, but charging your phone's battery for 20 to 30% doesn't count as a full cycle, right? Sorry, I'm uncertain. I hear so many different things about lithium-ion batteries. So, no, you're right. That's not a full charge cycle. It's not a full charge-discharge cycle. But every minute that you spend putting power into the cell or cells in your phone battery is wear and tear. So, let's say you've got a Pixel 7a and you're down to 60% on your phone battery and you're getting ready to leave the house. And you think to yourself, I could probably make it through a good chunk of the day on 60%, but I'd rather make sure that my phone will last the day. Let me just top it off for 15 minutes or plug it in my car charger and get it that extra 20% and I'll unplug it like 80%. And if you're constantly doing these extra little charges, it takes so much longer to slow charge that phone. So the time your phone spends plugged in is dramatically longer than if you had a phone like a OnePlus. If I want 20 to 30% on this battery, the phone battery temperature is only elevated for like 5 minutes. If I want 20 to 30% on a Pixel, my phone battery is elevated temperature for like a half hour, or maybe like 20 minutes, depending on the Pixel and the battery capacity. But it is less overall addition and degradation to the phone battery, and its operating temperature is only elevated for a shorter period of time. Now, I did that with Ricky, the YouTube tech guy. He had the newest Galaxy, I had the newest OnePlus, and we ran tests. And the Galaxies are doing better. They are charging faster at a lower temperature, but they sustain a higher temperature longer than a OnePlus will. So that is less wear and tear on your battery. And especially once you start factoring in wireless charging and everyone just going to Qi, that is dramatically putting more mileage on your battery. The guys at iFixit also did an article looking at Qi charging. And unless you have like a perfect snapped on, everything is aligned to the millimeter kind of setup for your wireless charging, then your phone is going to run at peak operating temperature the entire time you charge. That's why you end up with kind of this hot pocket effect as you charge a phone. So yeah, I'm not saying just charge discharge cycles. It's also, how did you arrive at that charge discharge? If the phone runs hotter longer, that's bad for the battery. Let me take another drink. Doo, doo, doo. Oh, Michael Peppertech is saying the dash charging was 35 watts on the OnePlus 6T. I thought it was something like that. It was either 35 or 45. I couldn't remember if dash got us there or if warp got us to 45 watt charging. Still, for the OnePlus 6T, 35 watt charging is still faster than most Pixels, and I believe is faster than the cheapest ways to charge the iPhone. I think the iPhone chargers were 15 watt, the little just white cubes that everyone still seems to have. A few people have figured out, like, if I run my iPhone nuclear hot, and I know how to pronounce nuclear, I'm doing that for dramatic effect. If I use my iPad charger with my iPhone, it charges so much faster, and the back of the phone is just becoming unglued because it's running so hot. So I do want to highlight, let me get this out of the way here, out of the way there. So it's already 11:09, and I do want to spend just a little bit more time kind of breaking down a bit. How many people here have Pixels and are running Android 16? And also, how many people have maybe switched over to the QPR beta 1, so running the pre-release version of Android 16, and how many people might be running the public release version of Android 16? I gotta say, the public release, let me pick up my Pixel here. This is my Pixel 9 Pro, and it's running Android 16. Oh, let me clear notifications and stuff. And it's kind of the same. I have little kind of changes in my bottom dock, and it's trying to do more AI stuff that I keep trying to deactivate, and it's kind of the same. I know there are supposed to be these other changes under the hood, and we do have, let me see if I go into my battery settings. Battery usage, battery saver, battery share, battery health is normal, battery widget, battery diagnostics. Where is it? It's not in saver, is it? Standard battery saver, schedule and reminders, battery share, no, battery health normal, adaptive charging, battery health assistance. Oh, there it is, battery health. So yeah, my battery capacity, battery health, 100%. I really haven't put a lot of mileage on my Pixel 9 Pro. I just haven't been that impressed with Samsung's hardware on this phone. But I can also run diagnostics. So I used this and my Pixel 8 Pro running Android 16 QPR, and I've been just kind of back and forth using both phones over the last 4 days. So I installed, so when did I do, sorry, I have no concept of linear thought. So I published the desktop mode June 10th. So I really haven't been using Android 16 in earnest since June 12th. So yeah, about 4 days. I'm just gonna say roughly 4 days that I've really been putting these phones in my hands, swapping my SIM card back and forth. My SIM card is now back in my OnePlus 13. It didn't last long. So Android 16, I know I don't want to judge it just by the aesthetic stuff, but it's not much different. I feel like Google is just trying to put the number out ahead to make it sound more exciting. We're getting updates, we're getting support, we're getting this new build of Android, and then they're trying to conflate that with the QPR. And the QPR is where we're getting all of the new stuff. So we scroll this down, and the material icons are definable, and you can make little buttons and bigger buttons, and you have more customization choice. I've kind of been playing around. Let me show you just like my lock screen again, of making it look a little more Hollow inspired. So I went to dark mode and then picked themes to make it look like dark black with blue, that kind of combination. I wanted to because my phone, my Pixel 8 Pro, is a blue Pixel 8 Pro. It's just in a red Peak design case, but I wanted it to kind of be unified. It's a blue phone with a blue theme and a blue aesthetic. I'm blue, ba-da-dee-da-da-ba, ba-da-da-dee, ba-da-da. But all of the new stuff in how like things animate and snap into place and scroll, that's what we're getting here in the QPR. So this is the beta release of Android 16, not the public release. And I feel like Google is trying to do something of an Apple here. Look at all of the exciting videos on all of the new stuff that's happening in Android 16. But if you have Android 16 public, you don't have any of that. And I think they're trying to get credit for pushing out the really flashy new stuff when they haven't pushed out the really flashy new stuff. So just as I would hammer Apple for doing that, hey, there's this new feature coming to the iPhone camera, and then you don't get it for 8 months, but Apple got all of the press. Apple got all of the media, the goodwill, the thumbs up, how incredible, and Apple's so innovative, but they didn't really give it to you until 3/4 of the way through the first year of your iPhone experience. And then you know that new features coming to the next version of the iPhone probably won't come to the iPhone you currently own. So you spent 8 months with an incomplete product if you bought at launch. And I kind of feel like Android 16 is starting to feel a little like that. So I put out the video on the desktop mode. I've been running desktop mode from my Pixel 8 Pro. I am very encouraged by the progress that's being made. Google has a fire under their butt for the first time because they might lose Chrome. If they lose Chrome, they lose their grip on hardware like Chromebooks. And yeah, Chromebooks sales plummeted after the pandemic, but they're still a massive resource for education. They are finding some little fingertip grips in corporate. There are some things that are kind of interesting about where Chromebook hardware could go, but Google wants to keep control over that product segment. But if they lose Chrome OS, they've got to offer up something else. So we're finally getting improvements to Android that are massively going to benefit Android tablets, massively going to benefit Android foldables, and are finally starting to contribute to Android desktop modes for all devices. Not just Samsung, not just Motorola, not just Honor. All devices are going to benefit from this. But not yet. It's not really here on Android 16. It might never really come to Android 16. We just have to hope that when Android 16 goes broader in September, that's really the full Android 16 experience. So if you're sitting back and you've got a phone running Android 15, you're not really missing out on anything. There's not much there. I mean, someone please tell me what else I might be overlooking, because there's the battery charge. I had some other notes. I think there's a new, what is it? There's like a new setting to help notifications, like a notification cooldown. I think someone was talking about that. I already heavily manage my notifications, and I use a watch or smart glasses as my gatekeeper. So those kinds of things don't help me as much because I actively try to keep my phone screen off until I absolutely need to turn it on, or else I would be inundated with devices and screens and notifications all the time and my head would explode like that scene from the movie Scanners. So if we don't have Material 3, I guess the main thing that you would be looking at is charge limiting. I don't know that that's something to feel like real precious about when so many other manufacturers offer things that are better. If you're on a Samsung right now, if you're on a Samsung Ultra, a Galaxy S, a more premium phone, you already have like power pass-through in some circumstances. It's better than charge limiting. And many other devices have charge limiting. My OnePlus Pad 2 here in front of me, I keep plugged in most of the time, and I have it plugged in and it limits the battery charge to 80%. My Surface laptop has charge limiting. We're finally getting it on Android. All these other manufacturers have already been doing it. So I'm just feeling like we're in a half-step situation, and I feel like Google is trying to use my excitement for specific features as a broad, as like a broad advertising or marketing point for Android 16. But what I'm talking about, most people can't use yet. And it feels like they're taking advantage of some of the goodwill in the tech community to make it look like all these exciting things are happening. And they're kind of not. So yeah, I used the OnePlus 9 Pro the least. Just the Android 16 experience here just doesn't seem any much different except from some small aesthetic differences that will become more important in September anyway. And that's kind of it. I wish I wish there was something more to say about that, but it's just been kind of a big whiff. I'm really curious to see, like, when Material 3 does go broad, I'll be curious to see, like, how much of this is Pixel unique and how much of this is going to be open to everybody. Like, I used to joke, like, Sony is really the most stock Android device that you can buy. Motorola is usually pretty close to that. There's not a lot of skin. There are lots of apps that are Motorola unique, but there's not a lot of interface differences. It's a complete difference when you look at a OnePlus with Oxygen OS and the new animation engine versus a Motorola, which looks more stock Android than a Pixel does. I'll be curious to see if that kind of helps. If you're running another phone company like a phone manufacturer like Sony or Motorola, who do very minimal aesthetic customization, does Material 3 present in a way that helps people spruce up those phones? Because I think if you pull out a Moto, you might sometimes feel a little left behind. Your ability to customize widgets and shortcuts and home screens, and you have prettier lock screens and wallpapers. Moto still seems the most behind on that fun stuff. And it can be fun. I don't spend much time futzing with that kind of stuff because I'm going from phone to phone to phone to phone to phone. But even like a Fun Touch phone from a Vivo has more customization options than a Motorola. So I'm wondering if that might be a more impressive update for some of those other devices, and especially lower cost devices that aren't getting the care and attention and polish. They're just kind of pushing out a cheap $200 or $300 phone. Well, now if you have Material 3, hopefully that brings some fun to that kind of experience. I don't know. How many people, I mean, like, what are our thoughts on Android 16? All I'm seeing, like, there's an Android police talking about the bugs. Apparently on Android 16, the back button can stop working. I didn't run into that. My 9 Pro has been doing fine. It seems like it might be an issue, like if you're still trying to use 3-button navigation, that maybe some of those conflicts come up from that. Like, if you're trying to use 3-button navigation and you have that back animation on, where when you start swiping back, you can start to see the panel before, maybe that's an issue with having a hard-coded back button instead of using a back swipe. I don't know if that's it, but apparently dark mode is still having an issue. That was a bug in Android 15 and it's apparently back in Android 16. We're probably not going to get significant fixes for these until September, when the full version of Android 16 is pushed out to everybody. And we're also not seeing as much chatter right now with other companies doing Android 16 betas. Because why? I know who was it? Vivo was the first to get Android 15 out to the public. Vivo beat Google in getting Android 15 out to the X100 Pro. Like, again, software support is no longer this, like, only one company gives us good software support and everyone else is terrible. Like, Vivo with Fun Touch beat Google to getting Android 15 out on their Ultra phone, on their premium tier phones. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a bigger boon for tablets in September. So if you have a Galaxy Tab, or if you have a OnePlus Pad or a Lenovo or a Xiaomi Pad Pro 7, woof. What Xiaomi and Oppo are doing in-house, I think they will have better tools to work with for windowed modes. So Xiaomi has a great workstation mode on the Pad Pro 7. You push a little button in your notification dock and then all of your apps turn into floating windows. They start in phone orientation, but you can resize. It's just like you're using a little Chromebook. It's pretty good, but you can definitely see where that's a Xiaomi thing, not an Android thing. So if we can switch this over and they can use just a native backbone service for better windowed arrangement, more PC-style windowed apps, they don't have to make as much, and they can just put some polish on that experience to kind of fulfill the Xiaomi flavor of that
but it's more natively cooked into the operating system. They don't have to break Android as much to get this functionality working. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Let me take a drink of water. We do have some comments, and then we gotta start wrapping this show up. All right. I don't know if I mentioned it. Ron Guido got his son a 12R. 12R is good times two. I mean, the biggest difference is the cameras. The 12R has a good main camera. The 13R actually has 3 more useful cameras, but no shade on a 12R, especially if we're talking about charging and performance, because that thing is still a screamer. Yep, Michael C. also saying, what makes me nervous is anytime I buy a Pixel from now on, I'm going to be nervous that 2 or 3 years later, they're going to nerf it with an update against my will. I don't know what to tell people now. I wish I were more excited about Galaxy A series. I in the past, I've always kind of leaned on Pixel A series. But now it's like, what? I'd try and get more people on a OnePlus, I guess. Like that high performance but mid-ranger cost solution is just kind of evaporated from the North American market. Jimmy Fire Dragon is saying, I think the old Apple plugs were 12 watts. That's terrible. We've been charging iPhones on 12 watt chargers. Oh, it's so bad. Michael Peppertech is saying, OnePlus will also charge slower when it's powered on and slower again if you're using it to reduce heat. Samsung phones will run hot no matter what. That's not entirely true, MPT. Again, from running those tests that I did with Ricky, the YouTube tech guy, you have to be running the phone hard to get a OnePlus to throttle charging speeds. I'm talking like I'm playing Grid Legends with my hack to get 100 frames per second and full like performance mode and everything. And then it will scale. But when you say a Samsung will just run hot no matter what, a Samsung can't sustain 45 watt charging. It is exceedingly rare that you can keep a Galaxy Ultra pinned at 45 watts. Whereas it's really easy to run my OnePlus while charging at 80 watts. And so we can see that difference, right? So what you're saying isn't necessarily false, but we've got to put that in perspective. If a Samsung is running hot and it's only charging at 30 watts, but it's sustaining at 30 watts and just running hot, that's still worse than if a OnePlus started at 80 watt charging and you're playing a graphics intense game and it drops to like 40 watts. You see how it's still charging faster than the Galaxy? Oh, it throttled like 40%. And that's still faster than Samsung 45 watt charging, where the Samsung can't sustain 45 watt charging. I think it's the Galaxy S25 Ultra is the first phone that actually seems to hit 45 watt consistently if you do nothing on it. So again, someone please correct me if I have that wrong, but I don't believe that the battery tests we did on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, especially on third-party chargers, you were never able to get it to sustain. Where I've got power bank batteries that will hit Super VOOC on the OnePlus 13. It'll also hit Xiaomi fast charging. It does get wiggy with my Vivo. So my Vivo on my CookTech and my Anchor won't show, I forget what they call it, like lightning charging or whatever they call it. It's not lightning charging because that's an Apple thing. But it will show Super VOOC and it will show Xiaomi fast charging when I plug those into the CookTech. The CookTech specifically lists Xiaomi fast charging as a feature on the battery. But again, it's like that's the kind of thing we need to put in perspective. Oh, it slowed. Yeah. And it slowed to faster than Samsung charging speeds. I think that's still plenty worth it. And also a reminder to people, if you want your battery health to maintain and you want your phone to charge faster, don't play graphics intense games on your phone when you're doing your peak 30 to 80 watt charge cycle. Just give it 5 minutes, and then you'll be done, and then you can unplug that phone and play your graphics intense game, I think is probably the best advice. It's always been sort of the advice, like, don't run your phone super hard while you're also putting extra mileage on the battery, which is why we all want power pass through, so we don't charge the battery when the phone's running as hot as it possibly can. Jimmy Fire Dragon is on the stable release for his Pixel 9 Fold. Michael Peppertech is on the QPR 1 Beta 2 for the Pixel 9 Fold. Georgie saying, I sold my Pixels. I tried 16 on my Vivo and had to revert because was not working at all. But hey, it's not a Pixel. I didn't know Vivo had a beta out for Android 16. I should have been paying better attention to that. Gary the Fireman is saying I'm on 16 with my Pixel 7 Pro, and not the beta, but so far so good. PP Joker saying, oh man, I finally got on the live stream. Did I miss anything? A few news articles and stuff. It's pretty good. Georgie Panchev is saying the big talk in all the Pixel groups now is this idiotic Pixel VIPs. That's not the super fans, right? I don't know what the Pixel VIPs. Let me just look that up real quick, because I think I saw something in my news feed and immediately disregarded it. Oh, Pixel VIP's widget lets you keep in touch with your favorite people, even bypassing Do Not Disturb. Okay. So now my Pixel has my MySpace top 5. Was it top 5 or top 8? Top 8? I don't remember. I'm old. My brain is like Swiss cheese. From MPT, I would say not much has changed since Android 12L or Android 13 launched. Desktop mode is something they've promised since Android 10, and we still might not get it on Android 16. That's what's wild to me is, yes, it is more functional and it is working better in the beta. It still doesn't mean we will get it as a public-facing feature in Android 16. And I've been so cynical about all of this because of exactly what MPT is saying here. Android 12L broke this bare bones alternate view desktop mode that was built into Android since Android 10. And it has been broken through 12, 13, and 14, and it kind of started working again in 15, and now it's actually pretty decently functional in 16. This has been the promise for over 6 years that we would eventually get some alternative view monitor or TV aware mode on our phones. And just like, it's killing me. Because I'm so tired of the hype cycle. Oh, Michal dug into the code of Android, and there are notes from the developers that we might see a better version of the desktop mode in Android 14. Like, no, we're not. But now that Google might lose Chrome, we know that something is happening, and it is getting better, but it still might not be a public-facing feature. JJ4884 summing it up, holding my breath on Android. PP Joker saying I'll have to wait and see if my OnePlus Pad 2 gets Android 16. We should be good through Android 17, I believe. I know the OnePlus Pad 3, I think is guaranteed OS updates through Android 18, but they extended security support to 5 years. And I'm wondering if we'll see maybe something similar for the Pad 2. Let's see. Oh, Michael Protect just clarifying. What I meant is my OnePlus 13 will charge about 5 minutes faster if it's turned off than if it's on. That's fair. It's kind of the same point I'm making, though, is when we just say, oh, it slows down when you use it, I want to clarify that. It will. You're not wrong. But a OnePlus throttled is still 30% faster than a Samsung at peak charge. I feel like that's a more important point to make sure people realize, because Samsung Knights will hear, oh, your phone throttles when it charges? My Samsung doesn't. Yeah, but your Samsung started out slow. Your Samsung started out slow and doesn't get any faster. The OnePlus starts twice as fast and gets a little slower. That's what we're talking about. And it seems like the battery health doesn't take a significant hit on fast charging like all these people were so concerned in clutching their pearls. But if you charge at like 90 watts, isn't that going to destroy your battery health? And you pan over and you look at the Pixel 6a and the Pixel 7a and you say, nah, I think we're fine. Oh, Georgie, I gave up on all this stuff, man. You just gotta walk away. You can lead a horse to water, but they're never gonna drink. Georgie writes, in most groups I'm in, I mention BBK Asian smartphone brand to a United States member, and they will crucify you. Mention OnePlus, Vivo, Xiaomi, Oppo, so many. Oh, don't mention those spying garbage Chinese companies. And that's why Americans are falling behind. And every time I pull out a OnePlus, it is a price to performance advantage that no American company can match right now. It is utterly embarrassing to pick up a OnePlus 13 and compare it to a Galaxy S25 Plus or an iPhone 16 Plus and say, like, you're paying so much more for so much less. It's just no contest. It's not close right now. Oh, but OnePlus betrayed me because they used to be the flagship killer brand, and you could get a OnePlus for $50 and a half a ham sandwich. Well, they got better. They made better phones, and they still undercut Samsung and Apple and Google now. Oh man, putting a OnePlus 13 against the Pixel 9 Pro is just, it's not a fair fight, y'all. Even into like camera tech, like that's the closest. Yes, we can like the Pixel processing. I do like the Pixel processing in many ways, but boy howdy does that OnePlus camera hit hard. And it's real good. It's real good. I don't know. They don't have $1 billion in marketing in the United States. So I guess that's why a Pixel 9 Pro now costs $1,100 for a 128 gig model of phone. It's cool. It's cool. Real cool. Cool, guys. Cool. Oh, see, and Brian Glaze, again, like I was saying to Georgie, just like, there's no point. There's like no point in bringing it up. Brian is saying if you give any praise to the BBK phones, you definitely get crucified. I remember one time I made a comment about the new Oppo Find X8, and there were a small sector of people acting like the phone didn't belong in the conversation. And like, let them sleep on a Find X8 or a Find X8 Pro, one of the best phones of the year. Let them sleep on it. Let them ignore it. Why? They want to be tied into one team. They're not techies, they're brand fans. And this is what's so toxic about like Google trying to astroturf Team Pixel. Team Pixel started out as a cool hashtag for Instagram photos and instead became this hijacked marketing thing through Thousand Heads PR. And then they threw all of the techies under the bus. Oh, well, we've always been marketing. BS. And you can go to the Google websites and see where hashtag Team Pixel actually came from. And it had nothing to do with marketing, it had to do with sharing photos from a pixel. So they killed their own grassroots brand identity to try and astroturf it for super fans and all these like media outlets that get access, because now Google chooses who gets access. So if a website is now showing off that they had early access to a pixel, well, I guess they're totally trustworthy because Google picked them to have early access, right? They're certainly going to give you the hard hitting constructive criticism, the downsides of owning a pixel, what's going on with the pixel. I'm sure that that's how you keep Google happy and giving you early access so you can make the most money on your phone reviews. I'm sure it's all completely above board. But when folks were, getting devices like me on Team Pixel, oh, well, you can't trust those Team Pixel cats. They're just in it for free phones. They're not like us. We're reputable reviewers who also have our travel and accommodations paid for by Google when we go to events. But we're different because we're not Team Pixel. And the only difference was Team Pixel was run by third-party PR, thousand heads, and now Google seeds devices to media and influencers as they see fit. So Google just moved that part of it in-house. It's all garbage. It's all manufactured, astroturfed. Uh, let's spend $1 billion a year on marketing to make our product look cool. And I don't want you to not like your Pixel. If you like your Pixel, I want you to like your Pixel. But if you like your Pixel in a vacuum where you have not considered anyone else, Samsung, Motorola, OnePlus, nothing, Vivo, Oppo, Xiaomi, Honor, then you are seriously missing out on the last gasps of fun competition. And I can't tell you enough. I am at softball games. I am at end of school year activities and parties. We just did our, a little while back, we did the talent show, and Lexi performed at the talent show. We've got ballet recitals, time and time and time and time again. All of the parents in our social circles, if they have Pixels, if they have Galaxies, or if they have iPhones, they give up photographing the events because I'm there with a Vivo or a Xiaomi. I'm pulling off plays at home plate in manual mode on my Xiaomi 15 Ultra, and people think I'm bringing actual glass to little kid softball games. I'm getting that comment a lot. Oh, you must have used a really nice camera. And I did. It's called the Xiaomi 15 Ultra. I did. It's called the Vivo X200 Pro. It's not called a Pixel 9 Pro XL. It's not called the Galaxy S25 Ultra. And it's not called an iPhone 16 Pro Max. And I'll show them. I'm going to take a picture of my daughter and your daughter side by side. Why don't you get a cute little photo of them too? And I take a portrait. And they take a snapshot. And they can see. And then I show them. And I get the immediate comment, oh, that's a good photo. Can you send that to me? Yeah, I can. I'll email it to you so you actually have a good copy of it, because you have an iPhone and the iPhone will destroy the photo quality of anything I send you. So, folks, we got to put a pin in it. I don't think I can sit upright for much longer. I did much better than I thought I was. If you notice, I'm sinking lower and lower in the frame as I'm trying to scooch back. I didn't even have my watermark on. What? How would you even know that this was a Some Gadget Guy production? Here, I just turned it on. I love it. So I've got some fun stuff coming out, or definitely talking about some more phones. I'm going to be putting up a comparison between the OnePlus Pad 3 and the Xiaomi Pad Pro 7. Just not which one's better, but some different philosophies. Two tablets, both trying to be iPad killers and doing it in very different ways. So I've got that coming out. I've got a comparison coming out on some headphones. If we go premium Bluetooth versus inexpensive Bluetooth, what do those changes really look like? And I've got a rugged phone video coming out soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after tomorrow. And I'm doing follow-ups this summer. I can't tell you, the OnePlus 13R still rocking my socks. The OnePlus 13 has just been an absolute animal. The Vivo X200 Pro is still one of the best overall experiences on the market. I'm finding fun in things that will get me no traffic on YouTube. And that's where I'm going. But stay tuned, because at least if you're down for some of those conversations, then we can hang out. It'll be fun. So, folks, thank you so much. This chat was amazing. This was exactly what I needed after a very tumultuous Father's Day weekend. Personal issues, some medical issues, and then political all around us. And I want to wrap this up. This number of podcasts is kind of special. We like celebrating anniversaries. We like celebrating milestones. I think I disregarded it because I know I've done more than 400 podcasts. I've only numbered 400 of them. But that's what I'm missing. Is like, I tell you to go out there, hey, this is a silly day, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day. These are silly days that we just arbitrarily put on a calendar, and how cynical. And it's to buy gifts, and greeting card companies love that we spend money on this stuff. And as I get older, I'm trying to get over myself and realize, like, hey, you know what? It is actually just kind of fun to have a day. And it's a day, sure, it's manufactured and it's artificial and it's not real in any sense. Humans put it on a calendar. It's not like an immutable law of the universe, but like, hey, pick up the phone, call your mom. Pick up the phone, call your dad. I talked to my dad yesterday. It was a short conversation. He's very practical and efficient, and it was a lovely little conversation. I got to check in with my dad. Like, we don't talk as much as we should. I had a day on the calendar that forced me to do it, and I'm really glad I did. So, this is the 400th episode of the SGGQA podcast, and it was mostly a normal show, except for the fact that it ran stupid long. And I just want to thank everybody for being along for the ride. The number 400 means something, even if I know and you know that it's not exact or it's not special unto itself. It's just a commitment to the continuing conversations that we all enjoy. And that many of you have been along for a huge part of this podcast journey means a lot to me. So tomorrow will be, not tomorrow, next week, next Monday will be episode 401, and we're going to start this cycle all over again. It'll be a long time till I hit episode 500. And if you want to stick around, if you want to support this kind of production, if you want to share these podcasts, or hit this the Twitch and subscribe to a Twitch, or share on a YouTube, or just find the audio version of this replay and give that a plug on social media. If you're going to stick around, I'm going to stick around. If you're going to be here Monday morning, then I'll be here Monday morning. And we can have that kind of friendship. We can have that kind of relationship. We can hang out. We can nerd out. And we can dig a little deeper than a lot of these stories and articles will let us dig. And I think that's the fun. So as much as the world seems to be burning down around us, I think one of the best protests we can mount is F all that, we're still going to try and find the fun. It might be a precious little jewel, a tiny little nugget or a kernel buried deep under mountains of ash and detritus. But we'll find it. We will sift through it and we will get there and we will find a little fun. So as Bradley Larcher so succinctly put it, here's to the next 100 episodes, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Monday Morning Tech Chat Show on the SGGQA podcast channel. Be safe out there, take care of yourselves so you can keep taking care of others and be the amazing tech neighbor I know you can be. Catch you back. I love you all. Be well. Take care.